I don't want no volunteers. I don't want no mates. There's too many captains on this island. $10,000 for me by myself. For that, you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing.
Hello and welcome once again to the Cine-Files, where each week we enter the world of a great film. We explore its themes, its history, the filmmaking, and the influence it has on us today. My name is Steve Morris. I'm a filmmaker and directing instructor in Los Angeles, California.
Hello, everyone. Again, my name is John Roca. I'm a voiceover artist, host of numerous shows here in LA, and occasionally an actor.
And we're very, very happy today to welcome Eric Rogers, who is a writer, executive producer, showrunner. He began his work writing for NYPD Blue. He wrote for Futurama, wrote Futurama comic books, Skylander Academy, and secretly, there is another project in the offing. I can't say what it is, but
Soon. Yeah.
But maybe by the time this comes out, maybe we'll be able to announce it. Eric, welcome to the Cine-Files.
I hope that is true, Steve and John, and thank you guys for having me here. This has been a long time in the making, and what we're going to talk about is one of my favorite subjects of all time. Not even just movies, just of everything. Just this subject is one of my favorite things to talk about with anybody. So,
and that subject is
Jaws.
Dun, dun.
That's right. This is a big one. This might be for me the biggest one we've done so far.
Wow, for you personally as a film.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's
Holy moly.
great.
It's very high on my list.
If I curse, that's okay.
You're allowed, of course.
I'm allowed to curse.
Yes, it's okay.
Fuck yes.
And we should say something here for the fans who are listening. We are old friends, the three of us. So this is going to be like hanging out with your friends down in the basement talking about this movie.
We probably have had this
love
conversation.
Yes, we have.
Like
In
this many times.
numerous altered states and regular states as well. Yeah.
Well, and speaking of altered states, Eric was nice enough to bring a gift to the Cine-Files.
He was, yes.
And that gift is, I wish you could
The
see
gift
it.
of friendship is the gift that I brought.
Friendship distilled into a bottle.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a bottle that says Bushmills.
Distilled
whiskey.
friendship.
This is, in fact, triple distilled.
Triple.
right
That's
here.
why it's so
Yeah.
nice. Okay.
Yeah.
You buy Bushmill.
Well,
you.
And I brought this because I wanted to drink whiskey in honor of Robert Shaw. So
No question
And the
about it.
Irish whiskey was the choice.
Although
So.
technically he did ask
I
for
know.
apricot brandy.
You did, and I Vons'd it. I didn't go to a proper liquor store. So, my bad.
No. I'm much happier having the whiskey than the apricot brandy.
Okay, great.
I'm just saying Robert Shaw.
What was the other
wanted that.
drink? There's another
Moonshine,
drink.
because he makes his own
moonshine.
booze.
That's right.
But
That's right. He is
we
hot.
digress. And I've got to tell you, if we are digressing at this point
Yes.
in talking about Jaws, this is going to be a long episode.
Yep.
So let's start off.
Let's go.
Eric, let me ask you this question. How did you first come to Jaws? Do you remember?
I don't remember specifically, but I do know that the experience involved, like many of the films that I found in the 70s, it involved HBO and me being a kid who happened to be flipping channels and found the movie on HBO. And as it did with moviegoers, it scared the living daylights out of me, but I couldn't look away. And then it became a thing where I couldn't look away every time it's ever been on television since. Yeah. Or if there's been like a special screening in the theater, it's like I just gotta be there for it. Yeah. So yeah, I can't. It's one of those movies. If it's on TV, I'm watching it. I don't care what time of the day or night it is. Yeah. So yeah.
How about you?
Pretty much the same kind of story as Eric. I saw it as a child. And I don't know if it was on HBO or like CBS Movie of the Week or something. And my parents had like not monitored me watching TV at that time, or I'd stumbled upon it. But I remember seeing it at a very young age, and it affected me so much, though, that to this day, I don't go past 4 feet of water in the ocean.
Is that true?
Yes, it's very true. You'll never catch me
You do not
going
like to swim in the ocean
I
because
really
of Jaws?
didn't. Yep.
Holy shit, dude.
It scared the living
Wow.
hell out of me on so many, because I saw it at such a young age that it's just stuck with me.
Wow, okay,
And so
that's awesome.
anytime when I can't feel, like if I go swim out so far that I can't touch the bottom of the ocean without my head going under the water, I freak the fuck out. So it is legitimate for me, and it's always been legitimate for me. And I live in LA for 15 years, 16 years, and I still can't go to the ocean half an hour away and just swim all afternoon. I can't.
The good news is that ocean is balls, so you're all right. Yeah. Now, if you went to Hawaii, you'd have a problem.
Or San Francisco.
I'd be upset if you went to Hawaii and didn't go
true.
swimming. But
That's
yeah.
true. Fair enough.
Anyway, Steve, yes.
So for me, it's pretty
Yeah.
much the same as you.
Yeah.
I think it was Showtime instead of HBO for me, but and I was probably 11, 12, 13-ish the first time. I had heard about it before.
Yeah, right.
I remember hearing about
yeah.
this movie. And for me, it's really that opening scene just scared me so bad. Yeah. But the rest of the movie, it became this thing that I watched over and over again and watched it a lot. And it was one of my favorite movies and this is for full disclosure, I have to say it's come up on the podcast before. I've worked on multiple great white shark documentaries. And so I'm going to really try for the most part to talk about this as a film, but occasionally I'm going to have to talk about this from what I actually know about real sharks.
Sure.
Right. And we're going to get into a little bit of that too.
Sure.
Cool. But it is, I think, it's on most of the list as one of the greatest films of all time. And it does it as a genre film and as really, a very different film from all the other films you find high on that list.
Absolutely.
So let's get into it. So Jaws, it starts obviously with the book Jaws by Peter Benchley. Have you guys, either of you read it?
Yes.
I read half of it, and then it just fell by the wayside for me because the movie was so deeply ingrained in my brain. So
I remember renting it from the library and probably accruing late fees because I read it over and over and over.
You read?
again.
Oh, so you read it several
Yeah,
times.
I really loved it, and because there are some important plot points in the book that are not in the movie that would change the movie completely. For example, Richard Dreyfuss's character sleeps with Brody's wife in the book.
Right.
So if you had thrown that into the movie, it's a whole other movie if you throw that into the movie,
Absolutely.
right? You explore a little more of the personal details of these characters rather than just the archetypes that they represent throughout the film.
And Benchley wrote the screenplay, the first draft of the screenplay.
He wrote the first draft of the screenplay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Zanuck and Brown, who are big-time storied Hollywood producers. I mean, Zanuck is the son of Daryl Zanuck, who's, this is as big and old-school golden age of Hollywood as you can get. Yeah. And Zanuck and Brown, they produced The Sting. I mean, these are like big, successful guys. They hear about the book before it even comes out.
Right.
And they buy the rights to it. And that's right. Yeah, Benchley wrote the first screenplay.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we're going to hear a lot about different screenplays as we go forward in this movie.
Right, yeah.
And Zanuck and Brown had just produced Sugarland Express, which is Steven Spielberg's first theatrical film.
Right.
Have you seen it?
Yes, it's been a long time.
Have you seen it?
Yes, I took Spielberg as a summer
that's
course
right, you told me
at
that.
Florida State. We studied
There
all
was a
his
course
movies.
about Spielberg.
Sugarland Express, Goldie Hawn, and
Kurt Russell.
Yes, Kurt Russell, yes.
Strangely enough, I've never seen it.
No, you haven't. Okay.
No, I never have.
Right
But I
on.
keep meaning to because it's like, how can there be the Steve
Well,
Spielberg's
Goldie
first?
Hawn was nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah.
Or did she win? I think she might have won.
She might have won a supporting.
For Sugarland
Yeah,
Express.
really?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
she
wow.
might have won an Oscar for that. Yeah.
I've never seen it. And part of the reason that they wanted Spielberg for this was because of his made-for-TV movie Duel.
Yeah.
Great.
Which I have seen.
Great.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, Dennis Weaver, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to see a textbook of just great storytelling for not a big budget, check out Duel. It's definitely a cinephile
Well, it's
movie.
funny too. If you're a fan of Jaws and you haven't seen Duel, you'll see why Spielberg was the perfect guy to make a shark movie where you don't see the shark until the last act of the film or whatever it is.
And you don't know the reasons for this evil. Like in Duel, you don't know the reasons for the evil of that truck.
Absolutely. But that was a great film.
Yeah.
It's really well made. So we have a screenplay from Peter Benchley. Don't particularly like it. So they hire another writer, which is Howard Sackler, which is the writer of The Great White Hope.
Oh, love that.
Right. Okay.
Great White Hope is really good.
Right on.
Powerful movie.
Yeah,
Yep.
it it stars James Earl Jones, and you should definitely check it out.
Another Oscar nominee for that one too.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
so,
Yeah.
Spielberg wrote a scripted version of the script.
Oh, wow.
I I could see that.
And what he says is, and he's not a great writer.
No.
I think we can agree.
No, he's a good story guy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the movies that he has story credit on are all great stories.
Right. But him writing script is not what you want from him. And then he brings in Carl Gottlieb, which is really probably the writer that contributed the most.
Yeah.
But all these people contributed. And then they have to rush into production when the script is not finished because a writer's strike is coming.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And this has happened. You hear about this in Hollywood a lot, that, the writer's strike's coming. We got to get our shows going because once they're going, they won't shut them down.
That's right.
And so they rush the shark movie into production, which we got to be happy that they did it because it's one of the great films of all time.
Absolutely.
But it's a really bad choice.
Yeah, if you have your druthers, you're not doing that. But like, I can't imagine what the movie is without that pressure to make it. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting point, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the key factors in it is that they hadn't finished developing the shark.
Right.
Is that the guys who are building the shark, and one of the keys to the movie was we're going to have a big mechanical shark that can swim around and do all these specific actions.
Right.
And the guys who are building it say it's not ready, and they say we're going anyway.
Well, in Gottlieb's book as well, the Jaws log, he said that they had shark experts down to South Africa to record as much
That's right.
great white footage as they could to edit into the film, and then they got the footage and said, "No, we got to have something better than this." And that's how. That's how
I didn't
Bruce,
realize that happened first.
I think that's how. I think they saw the footage and they were and well, you know what? And even more to the point, I think they saw the footage and thought, is there a way we can train these sharks to go into the water with these actors? Right. And the shark experts came back, and as you would know better than we would, the shark experts came back and said, there's no fucking way you can put actors into the water with these animals because they'll die.
This is the stupidity of training a shark. I mean,
Right.
all of that in my mind.
All right, so because I just did this documentary.
Of course, please.
And by the way, the documentary is called, I did two, but the more recent one is called Great White Shark Beyond the Cage of Fear. Mm-hmm. There are trained sharks. There's in Jamaica, there are nurse sharks that have been trained.
No, but great whites is what I'm talking about.
But it's probably like that's 40 years of science as well, right?
Well, and this is
between
the thing,
now and
is
then.
is that of course you're not going to go put some actors in the water with great whites with in a rush time to get a film production going.
True.
Does that mean that great whites can't be trained? No, of course not. Great whites could probably be trained. Basically, every animal can be trained. Okay. It's just the level of difficulty and how hard it is to train them.
Right.
But we digress a little bit. So we go off to shoot, and after looking around a lot, they decide to shoot in Martha's Vineyard, which is an island which today would cost $1 billion to shoot because it's one of the most popular and ritzy sort of vacation spots for the wealthy. But at the time, it was more isolated with a small town. And Spielberg, once he went on the island, he did not leave.
Wow.
Right.
And what was supposed to be, a couple months shoot ended going on and on and on. There are all sorts of stories of what is the most difficult production of all time and what has the craziest stories of all time. Jaws is in the list.
Yeah, Jaws, they've got some doozies.
Yeah.
They've got some doozies.
Well, and one of the things, so when they first started talking about doing the film, they talked about let's do it in a tank.
Right.
Because that's how we originally filmed.
Wow.
We'll have a big blue wall, and we'll fake everything.
Right.
And the person who said no to that, Steven Spielberg.
Yep.
He said, no, we got to be out in the real ocean. He didn't know what he's getting.
Yes, no. Probably one of the biggest regrets of his life.
Those 70s directors are all about environment.
That's
and
right.
And creating that environment. So you like Cassavetes and all those guys, and Coppola too. And with Apocalypse Now, I mean, he really went all the way out there, man.
Yeah. Well, and that's where you go. Like, well, it was a miserable many, many months.
Right.
Is it the wrong decision?
I'd say no because of the end product.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think Spielberg, if you had him sitting in here, you would say that too. He said he'd do it all over again.
Right.
It
was a happy accident.
Yeah, a lot of them.
But the problem with shooting out in the ocean is what Spielberg wanted was, once we're out in the ocean, we're out in the ocean, and that there's nobody else. We're all alone, which means you have to have an empty horizon.
Yes.
And an empty horizon in the ocean could be 10 or 20 miles of distance.
Yes.
So you have a long time that you spend setting up a shot.
Wow.
And just when you're ready to say action, way off 20 miles away at the end of horizon, little tiny sail.
Yeah.
And now what do?
That's one of my favorite things when rewatching the film because you've seen it so many times. You know the story like the back of your eyelids. So does people say that? That's not a phrase. Yeah,
I don't think so.
But all right.
Can
anyway.
you see the back of your eyelids?
I can right now. No, but I like to watch knowing the story about how that stuff could get screwed up. I like that. Oh, look, there's something right there in the background. Oh, okay, they kept it. You know what I mean?
Well, and you imagine like how long it takes for a sailboat to go across 15, 20 miles of horizon to get out of the shot. They might be out there and get 1 or 2 shots in a day. And this is not even with the shark not working. I mean, this is just trying to shoot it. Plus, people on boats, some of them get seasick.
Right.
So it's also your cameraman is saying, "Oh, I'm ready to shoot." Wait, hold on. Has to go throw up over the side of the boat. And then get to the shot. It's not easy. Plus, the ways they normally would shoot on boats is they shoot on a gimbal, which is a thing that slides side to side. Like they would have gimbals technology from Viking ships would have it.
Okay,
it's a wheel set into an arc so that when the ship tilts to one side, the ball rolls down to the bottom. And so you put a camera on that. And what they decided was that wasn't going to be good enough because that's kind of a mechanical feeling to it.
Right on.
The cameraman handheld everything.
Yeah.
So he's hand holding, and these cameras are big back in the 70s, on a boat, and as the boat moves side to side, he's counter moving in order to shoot the shot, which is really difficult. Wow.
Yeah. Do we know the name of that cameraman? I wonder if he.
should.
I wonder if he. I wonder if he was like, "Screw this, I'm out." After that movie.
I think it's his big claim to fame. So
Yeah,
he's
right, right.
Probably is cool with it.
It's intense.
He's the guy that came up with Steadicam.
I mean, they even had incidents where the Orca actually sunk
Yes.
at one point in the
Oh,
shoot.
wow.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and they have actors on it, and the boat is going down. They try to ground it off on shore on a beach, and it's sinking, and it's like 1 feet deep, 2 feet deep, and, and Spielberg's yelling, "Get the actors off! Get the actors off!" And apparently, the sound guy is holding up his Nagra in the air, like, "Fuck the actors, save the sound!" And of course, the biggest problem in shooting is Bruce,
Yes.
and Bruce is the name of the shark. You remember how Bruce got his name?
This is the name of his agent, isn't it?
Spielberg's lawyer, I thought.
Oh, he was
Isn't his lawyer?
Spielberg's lawyer.
There you go.
And I gotta say, so the first great white shark film I worked on was called Mind of the Demon, and it starred Fabien Cousteau, and it was on CBS. And in that doc, the idea was to build a mechanical shark submarine for Fabien Cousteau to be inside and go out and swim with real sharks.
No.
Yeah,
Right.
and sadly about that movie, we made a cut that I really liked, and then CBS took it out of our hands and recut it and aired.
No.
Yeah, horrible.
Shocker. That's
Yeah.
no way.
But what was interesting about the film was it started off being a film about shark research.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it ended up being a film about trying to get this fucking shark submarine to work. And it was day after day of the shark doesn't work, the shark doesn't work, the shark doesn't work. It's not easy.
No.
And getting Bruce to work is not easy.
Yep.
And it didn't work most of the time.
Yeah, when you watch the film, you can see how the editor, whose name is escaping me, Sally
Verna Fields.
I was going to say Sally Menke for some reason. That's Tarantino's, isn't it?
Another great editor.
That was Tarantino's. Yeah, God, rest in peace. But yeah, you can see how they had to get real clever with cutting those scenes together with that shark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and this is one of the key things is that the idea was that you would have these great shots of this shark, and that would be really good.
Yeah.
And the shark didn't work, and that's what made the film better.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, once again, people talk about this all the time. Happy accidents on film. Some things don't work for a reason. It didn't work, so you have to improvise on the set. You have to figure it out on the set. How are we going to adjust the script? How are we going to make this work? Because as a director, you don't have time to wait for something that doesn't work. Even though you're there for months, you're still having to shoot stuff. You still have to get those pages in and do those shots and setups and what have you. So you have this idea of the shark not working. Now it's like, okay, am I a master filmmaker? If I am a master filmmaker, then I've got to make this work because the movie's got to come in on the budget, or it's got to come in. I've got to finish the movie, and I'm Spielberg, and I'm trying to
Yeah, because they had a
lay the
poster
groundwork.
out. They released a
Yeah.
poster.
There was a release date. Oh,
a
yeah.
year
This was his
in
biggest
advance.
film. This was going to be his biggest film.
So
Studio film.
there was going to be a movie put out.
Yeah,
Well,
one way or another.
And we're going to get into them as we go along, but there's so many creative choices that they had to make because the shark didn't work. And the reality is, now this has changed a bit with CG, but the longer you look at the monster, the less scary the monster is.
Absolutely.
The more you show it, the more you go, oh, it's rubber, it's fake.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, and even with CG, that's somewhat true. I mean, I think that's changed. We kind of have gotten past that uncanny valley now to some degree, but still, it's like the suspense that's created in your mind by not seeing something is far scarier than what you would get. So all the shots that Spielberg had to throw out probably made the movie better.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think a modern or a recent version of that sort of filmmaking that works with CG really well was the latest Godzilla. Now, I know not everybody was a fan of that, but I really liked it, and I think it did the Jaws save the threat reveal thing really well.
Yeah.
I think it definitely did that well. I didn't like
You
that.
didn't
I
like-
didn't like that movie.
But everything else, no.
Yeah, the story structure and character
Oh,
development.
you didn't like Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch hanging out together as a married couple? No? All right. Anyway.
Moving on.
That's another movie.
Moving on. So you mentioned, I just want to talk real briefly, a movie like this, it can't get made without a great editor, and Verna Fields is one of the great editors of all time. Right. They called her Mother Cutter.
Oh.
And because she was older
That's
and
good.
more experienced, and she just cut on her little moviola in the backyard of her house in the valley, and everyone came and visited, and she's one of the most important Spielberg's a genius, but nobody gets to be Spielberg without a great team, and she's one of the most important team members. Yeah. And maybe the most important team member, and we're going to talk about him a lot, is John Williams.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure, man.
Because the score to this film is one of the great film scores of all time.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
It is, in fact, when I teach a class on film scoring, I spend a good, 45 minutes just talking about the score of this film.
That's amazing.
So there's a lot to say. There's a lot to dig into.
I think it'd be really interesting as a film teacher, Steve, too, to find a cut of the movie and show it, at least part of it, without the score, and see how effective it is. Yeah. And even more so, find somebody who's never seen the film and show it to them and see what the reaction is. I don't know. I think it'd be a little fascinating social experiment. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, so let's get into the film.
Okay.
I think it's time. So we start with Chrissy.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Poor Chrissy. Poor Chrissy.
Very beautiful Chrissy.
We're on a beach, the middle of the night.
Yeah.
There's some drinking. There's some partying.
Sure.
There seems to be a real connection between these two young kids.
Yep.
She goes off. He chases. She starts taking clothes off.
Yep.
Things are going really well, I think, in this film.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is going to work out pretty well. What do you think?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. Dude is going to get some. And by dude, I mean the shark.
Yeah, the shark.
Yeah. Chrissy swims out into the water, and this is one of the scariest scenes I can think of in anything ever.
Oh, totally.
To the point where, and you will disrespect me for this, there were times where I watched the movie and I just skipped it.
Wow.
I just find it so upsetting.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow, man.
It sets the tone for the film.
I just was going to say the same thing. I
couldn't do the movie without it.
Yeah, it really does set.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, I know.
Viscerally.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the real word.
Yeah.
She goes out and she gets hit by the shark underneath.
Yeah.
And what they're doing, by the way, she's got different ropes tied on her and guys on the beach pulling her back and forth.
Oh, wow.
Manually by ropes and pulling her underwater.
It was really terrifying.
Yeah.
The way they pulled that off in a really awesome practical way.
What's so great about that scene is it isn't just the ferocity of the shark. Like, we've never seen something like this on screen, right? Up to this point in the cinema, we've not seen anything this quite so visceral in its experience. And we are it's almost like a reality TV experience. Like, we're literally in the water with this poor woman. Her sounds that she's making, her breathing issues, her desperation to be out of the situation, and then her helplessness as she's being pulled from one side to just saying, "Oh God, oh God, oh God." She has no ability to fight this. She's conceiving of what's happening, and it's so insane to her. And then, just like that, it's over. And that's the ferocity. That's the unsettling part of it all.
I think too, what really sells all of that as well is the scene immediately following the end of the scene, where you have the wide shot of the kid sleeping on the beach, passed out, and the water's calm.
Yes,
and he's just kind of stirring a little bit, snoring maybe. I don't know, but you're just like, she was right there.
Yep.
She was right there, and he's slept through the whole thing. It's just crazy.
He passed out.
And I think, and this is one of the key things, if you had seen the shark, wouldn't be as scary.
Right.
Part of what makes it scary and part of what makes sharks scary is that they are a piece of the unknown.
Yep.
Is that they exist in a world that we can't really get into, and the fact that it is totally invisible to us, we don't know. We know something is happening to her under the water. We know, did he get her leg? What did he buy? What is happening? We don't know, but
and
we
if you
know
didn't
it's
know
horrible.
it was a shark movie, if you didn't know it was a shark movie, you wouldn't know it was a shark.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know,
it's true. It is. It is a really, really scary scene, ending with, as you say, this kid asleep, and then we wake up the next morning and we get to meet Chief Brody.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is something I think Spielberg does so well, which is the middle America, ordinary, normal family life. You see it in E.T., you see it in Close Encounters. You definitely see it here, is that this is real. These aren't movie characters. These are real characters.
Yeah.
And the casting of Roy Scheider and the casting of Lauren Gray are so important.
Yeah.
It's both so good for that.
Yeah. And what's great about Roy Scheider is immediately he conveys that sense that this is a sheriff, this is a guy who's in charge. He handles it. He knows he's got an even keel demeanor.
Right.
So we, as the audience, we automatically, like, instinctively feel in a subconscious level that we're in good hands with him. Just the way he presents himself, the establishment of the family, all of that lets us know that we have in Lethal Weapon. We talked about Lethal Weapon. The introduction of Danny Glover is birthday in the bathtub, family around him, family downstairs making breakfast. This feeling of like, this is a solid guy. You can go with this guy.
Well, and you find out in very, exposition, as you know as a writer, exposition is the hardest thing for a writer. Is figuring out, and what we mean by that is, how do I get out the information that the audience needs to know in order to understand the story? Well, one of the key pieces of exposition here is that Roy Scheider's not native to the island.
That's right.
He's a New Yorker.
He's a New Yorker, yep.
And they get it out so smoothly in this opening scene and so naturally that you don't know you're getting expositionalized.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of rat-a-tat dialogue in the when we first meet the family too.
Absolutely.
So it's they don't waste a lot of time with explaining it. You just kind of have to pay attention, and you get it in a really fun, clever, organic way with with that family. An interesting side note about Scheider too. I read this. I think this was in Gottlieb's book. He, they were going through the list of classic leading men for the movie, like the Redfords and all that.
Sure.
And Scheider ran into Spielberg at a party in New York, and Spielberg said, "I'm trying to cast this movie, and I don't know who to cast in the lead." And I think Scheider's quote was, "I can be in your movie. Cast me." And I think Dreyfuss had already been cast. I think Shaw had already been cast, but they didn't have Brody yet. And
Dreyfuss is later. He got cast later.
Did he get cast later? I thought, but didn't they approach him early on?
Yeah, he got approached.
Okay, that's what.
And he turned it down.
That's some.
Yeah,
that's some
Dreyfuss turned it
misinformation.
down at first.
Okay, so but then Scheider was just like, "Hey, I'm right here, man. What am I?
Well, Scheider's great, and he seems like he's going to work. You know what I mean? Like he's a working. I mean, I've never met him, but from everything I've heard, he is a not big ego. I'm going to go do the job. Craftsman actor,
theater actor. I mean, a New York theater actor.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we get the word that there's something out on the beach, and he goes out and we see the remains of the first body. Which is just, again, it's Spielberg puts the camera in just the right spot. Just the right spot to see just enough. It's really well done. We go back to the sheriff's office. We hear, and again, this is just beautiful storytelling. And this is the thing, we talked about this when we talked about Raiders of the Lost Ark, is that Spielberg is the master storyteller. Like his efficiency in telling a story, his technique in telling a story is just, I don't think there's anyone better. I'm not saying he's always the most moving, the most brilliant. I'm not saying he's the best director.
Absolutely.
But in terms of just clarity of storytelling, he's amazing.
I won't argue with that. And he's got to be the best. I mean, he's got to be number one, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's for Hollywood filmmakers.
Yeah, exactly. And this sequence is where we get introduced to the levels of authority in the situation, right? We have the deputy, we have him, and the possibility of the mayor showing up. Like, there's all these things that are set in motion.
And just the small thing of he's on the phone talking to the coroner, and we don't hear the word shark attack.
Yeah,
that's right.
He types shark attack. And that's little
awesome.
tiny detail.
Yeah,
but it's one of the ones that really elevates the film.
Yeah.
And then he makes what he thinks is the logical decision, which is must close the beaches.
Close the beach.
Right.
By the way, not a logical decision at all. There's a little bit of me knowing about sharks, and
that's right.
That doesn't really make sense.
That's a man who's afraid of the water.
Yes. He says must close the beaches. He goes off to close the beach. And who does he run into? But the mayor.
Such a fantastic part. Such a fantastic actor to play the mayor. Just so good.
Yeah. Maury Hamilton.
Martin. Yeah, even a perfect name for that actor, Murray Hamilton. We can't just close the beaches, Martin. Like all those kinds of things. And he is really trying to, and you get it. And this is what's so great is when you get older, like you can rewatch this film and you're not caught up in the old stuff of like good and evil. There's not black and white. It's this idea of like, you get it. Like the mayor's like, he has more to think about than just these. Like,
he's not wrong.
Businesses. No, he's not wrong.
Because he said it's one attack,
right, Right.
So
he has to protect, in essence, protect the community and make a decision that is financially good for the community.
You yell Barracuda. Everybody says, huh? What? You yell shark. We've got a panic on our hands on the 4th of July.
Well, and this is a 70s film.
Yeah.
I mean, the way that actors are directed, the style of the dialogue, the naturalism. And so this is just like ordinary people. And part of the key of this is that, like, when you watched, let's say, a Hitchcock movie that was scary. Well, Hitchcock is Hitchcock. You enter into Hitchcock's world.
Right.
This is entering into the normal world.
That's right.
And part of what makes this film so scary is that all the signposts of the environment are This is normal.
That's right.
This is the real world.
That's right.
And it's interesting too. It's like people think of this movie as a conflict between humans and shark. The first half of the movie is not a conflict between humans and shark.
Yeah.
It's a conflict between humans and humans.
Well said.
The question is not, no one's talking about going to kill the shark.
Right.
We're not fighting the shark. I just
Yeah.
want to close the beaches.
That's right.
No, you can't close the beaches.
Yeah.
And which typically of horror movies in general is this a real thing to be scary about? You know, because when you go to see a
Yeah.
horror movie, you know, I'm going to see a horror movie. So
Yeah.
you know from the first death, no, this is for real.
Yeah.
But when you're in the world and someone got killed by a shark, you don't immediately think there is a killer shark who's going to continue to wipe us out unless we kill him first.
And I think
Well, maybe
that's-
you think that.
Yeah, I do think that.
And I think it's an important distinction, Steve, that saying this is a horror film, because I think that gets lost on a lot of people, that they think it's just a summertime blockbuster popcorn film. It is a horror film. That is a legitimate, scary,
Absolutely.
evil threat that doesn't have a conscience or bounds. You know, and it's
Here's where I'll argue with that just a little bit.
okay.
Which is that
I'm surprised you want to argue with
I've
this.
already said, I know.
I just paid you a compliment. God damn it!
And now I'm paying you back by treating you with respect by arguing with you.
Great.
I've already said that the opening sequence is fucking terrifying. And there are 3 or 4 other very, very scary moments in the film.
Yeah.
But the general emotion that you have throughout the film is not one of fear. Like if we did a thing on The Shining, if you watch The Shining, you are uncomfortable and nervous the whole film.
Yeah.
If you watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you watch The Exorcist, you are uncomfortable and fearful through most of the film.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true of Jaws. I think most of the time
That's
you
a
are
good
feeling
point,
all
dude.
sorts of other emotions. You are feeling adventure and you're feeling conflict and regret and sad
Humor. I mean,
humor.
It's,
It's
fun.
a very funny
yeah,
film.
it's a funny movie.
Is that I don't think the overriding feeling is fear. But it is genuinely scary when it's scary.
Right. Right.
You know?
Good point. That's an excellent point, actually.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, like any great film, like any great genre film, it goes past its genre. You
Right.
know? It has more to
Transcends the
say.
genre,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So we're arguing about whether or not to close the beaches, and this is one more point I want to make about this sequence.
Yeah.
Is that the shot of the car on the barge is such a fantastic shot, and it is one where, again, Spielberg being creative. All we have in the script probably is these guys are going to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Spielberg has us get onto a barge with a car. We go out to sea, spin around, come back, and go back. And it makes it visually so exciting. Yeah, that's interesting. You know, there's so many little things he does.
Yeah. Just brilliant filmmaking. Just brilliant filmmaking. And you see him the beginnings of his signatures. That we
Yeah.
will see in future films going forward. You know,
Absolutely.
that he works out here in this film, definitely.
Yeah, right on.
Time to have a day on the beach.
Let's go.
We didn't close the beaches.
No?
And I think, again, what makes this sequence so scary is that it's normal. It's every day. It's broad daylight.
Yeah.
We're seeing, particularly as a kid who grew up in the 70s,
And the John Williams score there too. It's very
Yeah.
jaunty. It's very fun. You're having everything is very like
there's no
yeah,
score in
they're-
the sequence.
No, yeah, when
The 4th of July, there's score.
Oh, I'm ahead of the game here, mother effer. Sorry, got a little head there. Sorry.
No, it's actually very quiet, and you're really filled
That
with
day,
with
yes.
beach
Now
sounds.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
So Roy Scheider's sitting there, and we see his fear, and you feel his discomfort in the moment, and you watch him watching every single moment. He watches the girl start screaming. Well, it's because a guy lifted her up, but he sits up. Maybe this is the shark. He sees people playing. The dog has gone missing, and in each of these, Spielberg wanted it to feel as if it was sort of one shot. But how can you do one shot where it's one person facing the opposite direction? You have to
Right.
cut.
Right.
And so his solution is to do these wipes. And the wipes are really remarkable, where people will walk by camera, and that creates an ability to wipe. Wipe is where you sort of slide left to right, and then that you do the cut on the wipe.
That's awesome. Now you're giving me another reason to go watch it. I'm gonna go watch it tonight.
So and here's the interesting.
Fascinating.
Here's
Yeah.
the interesting thing about it
Okay.
is because I tried to do it. I'm doing a student
Okay.
film, and I want to do the Spielberg wipes.
Okay.
So I have people walking. Someone walk left to right, and I fill them towards the character, and then I fill them walking left to right the other way. Doesn't work because if you switch the direction of the camera, the character that was walking left to right is now walking right to left.
Oh,
Okay.
And so what you
All right,
actually have to
dude.
do is have someone walk left to right when you're shooting one way, and right to left when you're shooting the other way, so it looks like they're walking the same way.
All right. Wow, fascinating, dude.
Yeah. So, and then there's this moment where the kid gets hit by the shark.
And you've got that amazing when he sees the kid go under, that amazing. Like Scorsese might have been the one who...
The rack focus.
Yeah, the rack focus.
Yeah.
No, it's called a Zolly.
Okay.
It's a Zolly, and what it is it's a zoom in.
Yes,
Dolly
while
back.
you're... Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's not a rack focus. It's and this is, by the way, the number one thing that student filmmakers do that I want to tell them, don't do it.
Don't do it, yeah.
No, and what it is that, so you have the camera on a dolly, on tracks, and you're going to either move the camera physically forward while on a zoom lens zooming out, or you're going to move the camera physically back while on the zoom lens zooming in, and it creates that strange distortion because wide angle lens tends to make things look deeper. Long lenses make things look flatter, so it's distorting the image while the camera is moving in the opposite direction. And the most famous early one is Vertigo.
It's Hitchcock. Okay, all right.
Uses Zolly.
See, I don't remember. See, that's the thing. This is the first time I'd ever seen that shot, that use of that shot.
Yeah.
So that's why it sticks out for me as like it was so effective. Yeah. Like that was just brilliant. It's such a brilliant way to capture his state of mind.
Absolutely. And the way it's shot, again, you don't really see the shark.
It's calm.
And it's very
Yeah.
you see something weird.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What
it's
was
that
that?
raft and is it
And
the
the fin?
fins?
Is it
it
fin
the
or something like
fins
that?
or is it the
Yeah.
raft? You know, yeah.
And you go, man, if we had Bruce working, it wouldn't have been as good.
That's right.
Yeah.
It would not have been as good.
Very
It's-
ingenious.
Yeah. The shot of all the people freaking out, trying to run out of there, juxtaposed with that raft and the fin spinning over.
Yeah.
Just all of it is, there's such a ferocity and a helplessness that you immediately feel as a viewer that just reinforces the terror and the horror that's going to come.
And one thing I noticed watching this last time, everybody runs into the water to help the kid.
Yeah.
Except Rashad
Rashad.
doesn't go in the water.
Yeah, that's right.
Our hero, he gets about ankle deep. And then that's about it.
Like, come on, get out, come on.
Yeah,
ankles deep.
That'd be Roca.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. You'd be surprised if I even got ankles deep, to be honest with you. And just the fear that is going on around everybody and the way it's shot, the splashing of the water on the camera, it makes you feel like you're there, right? It's almost a POV type shot. Like you feel like you're in the water with these people. And so you sense their fear and their danger.
Right. Yep.
And as you can sense them running out, you know what I'm saying? And then the mom starts looking for her kid, which is a heartbreaking moment.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah. And that woman is fantastic.
She's great. And one of the choices that Spielberg made, in general, they'd had underwater cameras before and could shoot underwater cameras, and they would shoot camera from above. And what Spielberg wanted to do, and what the cameraman wanted to do, was have the point of view really be at the water's surface. And sometimes you'll have the shot where it's half under, half over, and that feeling of being right there.
Yeah.
And that's that point of view feeling you're talking about. Is that, oh, I'm right in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's also super uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to your story about how you won't go deeper than 4 feet.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going on under there, you know? Yeah.
Now we know there's a shark. There's not any like there's no one's denying this anymore. There's really a shark, and the mom of the kid is offered $3,000 to go hunt the shark. We're in a town meeting, and once again we're having this argument about do we close the beaches?
Yeah.
And this is the man versus man conflict, and they are right, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, this is an argument we could hear anyway. Hey, if we try to save the environment, it's going to kill our businesses.
Yeah.
That is a constant argument. Safety and the public good versus commerce and the public good.
Right.
And who interrupts our argument?
Mr. Fingernails.
Fingernails down the chalkboard.
You all know me. Know how I earn a living. I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't gonna be easy. It's bad fish. Not like going down the pond chasing bluegills or tommycods. This shark, swallow you whole. Shaking, tenderizing, down you go.
That's a great entrance.
One of the greatest entrances ever
Yep.
by any character on screen ever. Just so great.
So, gentlemen, Robert Shaw, what do you
Yes.
think?
Cheers.
You know what? Let's
cheers.
cheers.
Yes.
We have our whiskey here.
do a
Cheers
shot?
to Mr. Shaw.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes. That's us drinking.
His power, the power of that dude
Yeah.
is so, it's like a volcano. He's so intense.
And I didn't know him from anything.
Yeah.
You know, as a kid watching films, I didn't know him from The Sting. Nothing else before that. And his body of work is outstanding. But I don't think he's ever been better or more iconic in that role. I mean, I know in The Sting he was.
No, taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, he's really good in that too.
Right,
but I
right.
agree with you. I think this is this signature role.
Yeah.
There's also Man for All Seasons. He plays
Sure.
Thomas
Oh,
More.
shoot,
And
Russia
right.
with
Forgot
Love.
about
And
that.
From Russia with Love.
But
right.
like,
but this is the one.
yeah,
This is the
right.
one.
No, I love him in The Sting.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Right,
The
no,
Sting is amazing.
he's an amazing actor. Yeah.
Right.
But this is just like seething power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wasn't their first choice.
And he's scary too.
oh yeah, very scary.
Right. So who was the first choice?
So Lee Marvin was who
Lee
they
Marvin.
were originally.
Wow, that would have been
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
And the other one is Sterling Hayden. Which
Oh
is
yeah.
interesting.
From
Yeah.
Godfather, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And Hayden, I believe, I got a little nugget about this. I believe he was cast and then had to back out of the film because of tax problems.
Oh, is that right?
He owned property or something in Mexico.
Oh.
And he had serious tax issues, and it prohibited him from doing the film. He was going to do the
wow.
film to pay those taxes, I
Right.
believe, but then they were like, "Nope, you're not doing anything. We're locking you down. You got to pay these bills." Yeah.
Wow.
I'm quite certain that was the story there. So
And again, I feel really bad for Mr. Hayden's tax problems, but I'm really happy that we got Robert
Right?
Shaw. Because
Yeah.
can you imagine anybody else?
Well, the thing that Robert Shaw does, and this is what's so good about his casting, when you can juxtapose Lee Marvin and Sterling Hayden, they are actors from a different era. Even though Lee Marvin is still like 60s, 70s, like he still has cachet and he's still like this kind of thing.
Sure.
He was
Right.
just kind of born old. Even when you watch him, in Man Who Shot Liberty Valance, he
Like Morgan
feels
Freeman.
like he's
He was
30 years
born
old.
old.
Morgan
Yeah.
Freeman feels like he's 30 years older than
Right,
he
yeah.
actually is, right? He almost looks like he's older than John Wayne, and John Wayne was older than him in that. So you get that feeling. So with Robert Shaw, because he has this kind of like almost ageless energy, you know, he can be as modern as the method Dreyfus,
Right.
as staid as the theater trained Scheider. He has this ability to bridge the gap between those two because he also is a theater trained actor from Britain.
Sure.
He's a drinker and a half. He's
Yeah,
him and
that's
Richard
right.
Harris and Oliver Reed are well known, and Richard Burton
Yep.
for being teetotalers all through their time on stage in Britain.
Not
So-
teetotalers.
What is that?
Teetotalers
Not
mean you
sorry.
don't drink.
Not teetotalers, right? Anti-teetotaler party. Yeah, like all that. So that's what I like about Robert Shaw's performance. He's youthful and yet ancient, and it's so perfect.
And being a guy, bringing up the British thing too.
Yeah.
Or was he Irish? Is he British?
He's Irish, yeah, but
He's
like,
Irish,
you know.
yeah. What I loved about his performance as well is like I totally bought he's from that island.
Yeah.
That he
Oh,
is
yeah.
a man who lives in a shack, you know, down the road from that town hall, and that dude was born to be on a boat. Like it just feels so lived in.
Well, and this is a thing that's, you know, it's a small theme in the film, but there's a class structure within the film.
Yes, Yes.
Is
absolutely.
that there, first of all, there's islanders and not islanders, and Chief is not an islander, and that comes up multiple times.
Yes.
And Robert Shaw, Quint, he's the ultimate islander.
Right.
He is, you know that his parents and grandparents and probably great-grandparents are buried over there in the
That's
little
right.
church cemetery. And then when we're going to meet Hooper, who we're going to meet next, he's a member of an entirely different class. And let's get there because this reward has gotten offered.
Yeah.
And now we've got all the town yahoos who are going out to kill the shark. And there's some stupid damn people with some really bad people. They got dynamite.
They got the shotgun.
Shotguns.
Yep.
They're just throwing blood everywhere.
That's right.
And who shows up but our representative of the Oceanographic Institute,
Right.
Matt Hooper.
Matt Hooper.
I love Richard Dreyfuss.
Perfectly played by Richard Dreyfuss too. Yeah.
And he did. So he got offered the part. And when Spielberg pitched him the story, he said, that sounds like a great movie. I would love to see that movie. But that seems like a horrible thing to work on.
And then why did he do it? You know why, right?
I do.
Okay.
Is that he had starred in his first starring role, which is the apprenticeship of Lenny Kravitz.
Duddy Crap.
Duddy
Duddy
Kravitz.
Kravitz,
Lenny,
Not Lenny
Lenny Kravitz.
Wait, hold on a second.
Don't edit
Idea
that
for a
out.
film.
Yeah,
Yes.
The apprenticeship. No, let's go pitch it to CBS. They'll buy that sitcom right
It's
now.
really a good idea.
Oh my!
So the apprenticeship of
Please
Duddy
don't edit that
Kravitz.
Duddy
out.
Kravitz, yeah.
Jesus, that's great.
He sees himself on the big screen and realizes he's never going to work again, and he should.
It was a flop. It was a flop though, too, right? Like,
Yeah, it didn't do well.
Like he realized, I got to go fucking find a job,
Right,
Because my movie career is over.
Yeah.
So yes, enter Jaws.
And he's great, and he plays his character is funny and smart and
and
passionate.
slightly unhinged,
Yeah.
unhinged in a different way than Quint is, but it was fun, like he's just, you love that he knows he's superior to these guys, but he's also got their best interest in mind, so.
Yeah. Well, having now met a bunch of these shark guys and nature guys, that's kind of, that's what they're like.
Yeah.
He's the patron saint of film nerddom. Like he is he is one of the first nerd characters you can remember seeing on screen.
It's funny you call him a nerd, though, because I didn't think of him as a nerd.
Really?
That's funny.
He's a scientist. He has the glasses,
Yeah.
the rapid fire delivery, the inability to control his emotions in certain moments when he feels the need to blurt out.
That's the unhinged thing.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
And, and he's deeply passionate about the
Exactly.
topic that he's obsessively passionate about.
So much so that at the expense of everything else around him.
Oh, yeah. That's what he loves.
Right.
Yeah.
After our town meeting, Roy Scheider goes back and does a little shark
right.
research.
Yeah.
And I've got to talk more about John
Great
Williams.
scene.
So we haven't brought up John Williams enough. We have Roy Scheider looking through this book at pictures of sharks, shark jaws, shark wounds. It's very disturbing. And we're hearing, we talked about in Raiders of the Lost Ark and a couple of other films, we talked about this idea of leitmotifs. And a motif is a piece of music that's associated with a person or a theme or an idea.
Right.
And one of the leitmotifs that plays here is, these are my names, by the way, but this is what I call the sea. And it's every time we're kind of looking out into the ocean, and when he's looking at this book, we hear this. It's a very circular sounding thing. It's played mostly on harp, and it's kind of has an endless, beautiful, deep, unknowable quality.
Yeah.
And we're going to hear this theme a lot. Every time we're looking out into the water and not seeing what we want to see, we're going to hear this theme.
That's right.
And then, of course, the most famous theme is dun And do you heard the story about how he first played it for Spielberg?
No. Well, if I have, refresh my memory.
So Williams calls up Steven Spielberg and says, "I've got the theme for the shark." Spielberg goes really excited. He comes over to John Williams' house. John Williams sits down at the piano.
Yeah.
He sits down to play, and Spielberg's thinking, "I'm going to hear some big orchestral, scary, dissonant thing." And John Williams holds up one finger.
Yeah.
And he goes, "Dun dun." And then looks at Spielberg. Spielberg thinks he's kidding. Like, what is you doing? He's like, "No, that's it. That's the whole thing."
That's awesome.
And it's obviously, this is such a well-known piece of music, or well-known two notes, that it's become a cliche. But I think you can't overestimate how powerful that shark theme is.
Yeah.
No, I there's no way. There's no way to overestimate that.
Well, they've used it in numerous films too as a parody. And maybe occasionally a seriousness, but usually it's parody because of what it symbolizes.
And it's so associated with sharks now too.
Yeah, of course.
It's so crazy. Like, just, you mentioned sharks around people, even non-Jaws fans, movie fans, that they know if you say sharks, they think that theme, even if they've never seen the film.
Yeah, didn't it say it was like a minor notes or minor beats or something like that? It was the way he constructed the song. He didn't want anything major or known. The notes that were major or known. He wanted to play these other smaller ones. So that it got even deeper into your brain.
That's
right.
crazy.
This whole thing is like an earworm. Got even deeper into your brain.
That's awesome.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's so powerful about it is particularly because the shark's not working.
Yeah.
And so for most of the film, that theme, dun is the shark.
It's working for the shark, yeah.
And its power is that if the shark is going faster, dun. If it's going away from you, it gets quieter. If it goes slower, it gets slower. If it goes up in the water, it goes up in pitch. If it goes down in the water, it goes down in pitch. Wow. Is that theme is telling you so much about what the shark is doing. Yeah. And where we're going to hear it next is we got two idiots who get the pot roast, the wife's roast,
That's
and
right.
they go out on the dock, hook it up to a hook, and throw it in the water. Now, this is a stupid plan.
Well, they don't strike me as Mensa students, those two.
The wife's pot roast.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I mean, that's a big hunk of meat.
That was a big hunk of meat.
I don't know what meat cost in 1975, but that was a...
His wife was pissed.
She was pissed.
Yeah.
And remarkably enough, here comes the shark, and we hear it. The shark takes it out, and the guys are sitting on the pier, and they rip the pier off. And again, what do we have here? The shark's not working. How do we show the shark? And so what we have is the pier.
Yep.
Is the pier becomes the shark,
Yeah.
and the music becomes the shark. We hear the shark theme going
Yes.
away,
Yes.
going away, and then we see that pier turn, and now we hear the shark theme come back, and now instead of being just played on that cello, the whole orchestra takes the shark theme.
And you got the guy he falls into the water, and his buddy's up there going,
Charlie, take my word for it. Don't look back. Swim, Charlie. Swim. Come on, Charlie. Swim.
And we get an additional leitmotif, which is there's like a French horn that's I call the hunting theme, which is the da-na-na.
yes.
And when those things come together, when you have just the shark theme, you know the shark is there.
Right.
When you have the shark theme and the hunting theme, you know the shark is in attack mode.
Yeah, right.
And so
man.
and John Williams communicates all this, and this is a really, really tense, scary scene.
Yeah.
And the guy where we never see the shark.
Never see the
Yeah.
shark.
No shark.
Yeah. But we see their desperation, and they're sliding on the.
Yeah.
They're sliding on the. When he says "Don't look back," that's just so great because you can see it behind. Like it's just this fear of everything, and then the way they. Can we go home now?
Yeah.
That's just such a great
Again.
button on that scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's comedy that ends the scene and like breaks the tension.
Exactly.
It's and that's such a Spielberg thing as well. You know, like put a button on it to like let everybody take a deep breath. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And this is the thing about whether or not this is a horror film. Is Spielberg is not his desire is not to scare the shit out of you all the time.
No.
He wants you to feel a lot of different emotions, and he wants to take the tension off.
Yeah.
Like, again, going back to The Shining, because it's one we talked about, they never pull the tension off.
No.
You is always pushing you to dread and
That's right.
fear and uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
And this is like, no, we're going to play a lot of different kind of notes here.
Yeah.
So Matt Hooper has shown up, and now he wants to examine the remains.
Yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss is a really good actor.
Yes, he is.
In particular, I love, do not smoke in here.
Well, this is not a boat accident. It wasn't any propeller. It wasn't any coral reef. And it wasn't Jack the Ripper. It was a shark.
Once again, his antisocial stuff comes out in that, and I think in that moment, and in no way is it like offensive or unsettling.
No.
It is more like him. There's almost it's a combination of excitement and fear at the same time.
Yeah,
as
he
he's
is
doing it,
excited.
right?
You're right, dude. Yeah.
It sounds like it to me because it's 20, it's probably 20 feet. Like the whole thing he's doing is just getting you like hyped into it more.
And it emphasizes that this is an ordinary guy. You know, like Roy Scheider is an ordinary guy.
Yep.
These are people with flaws and complexities.
That's
He
right.
doesn't show up like, oh, I'm the tough guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm a scientist who now has to look at weird body parts.
And he has the classic sort of outsider intro where he gets off the boat and he says, "Can somebody point me to the coroner's office?" I think it was. And they just all wave him off and ignore him because he's a city guy. He's an outsider, and you get that air superiority without him like really like making anyone feel like you're just a bunch of island hillbillies. You know what I mean?
And he immediately makes a connection with Roy Scheider.
Yes.
And
City guys.
Wow.
two city guys, and they're great. That's a great friendship. It's a really, and this goes to, like, as you mentioned in the original book, Hooper's going to have an affair with Brody's wife.
Right.
I'm really glad they don't do that.
Yeah, so I know
Because I love this friendship.
Of course.
And we don't need to, and this is, again, one of Spielberg's great strengths is what to cut.
Yeah.
How to streamline a story.
Yeah.
And he does it beautifully on this.
There was too much story to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, how
have
do you
to
even wedge that in?
Right? Are you going to spend time exploring each one of these characters'
Yeah.
backstories? It just would take forever.
That's right.
Well, and it's also understanding what is the audience here for? What's driving the story forward?
Right.
And that's not driving the story forward. It is unnecessary.
Yep.
So fortunately, though, we caught the shark.
Yes.
And
right.
we're all cool. Not that, we found this big shark, clearly a man-eater. We've hauled him up and are hanging him. People are taking pictures with him. Chief Brody's thrilled because obviously
that's
there
right.
can't be another shark like this in these
Right.
waters.
Look how big it is.
Because Chief Brody knows so much
That's
about which
right.
sharks are in these waters.
Yeah.
And then we have this moment is so powerful and so hard. His mom walks up,
Oh, yeah, the
man.
mom. Yep.
slaps him right in the face
Yeah.
because he knew.
Yep.
Chief Brody,
Yes?
I just found out that a girl got killed here last week. And you knew it. You knew there was a shark out there. You knew it was dangerous. But you let people go swimming anyway. You knew all those things. But still, my boy is dead now.
She's great, as you said before. She is amazing. And
Local.
what's-
They cast a local.
Yeah, local.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what's so good about the moment to me is that the mayor says she's wrong, Chief, and Chief says no, she's not.
That's right.
And this is where this movie transcends genre.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, this is about something now.
Yeah.
And that's a really, from a writer's perspective, that's such a human reaction. It's a non-movie line. It's a real life way to respond to that, feeling of guilt.
Yeah.
And the fact that Spielberg and Gottlieb and the other writers had the balls to put that in there is just amps it up to, again, transcendent.
Yeah.
Well, and it shows the essential morality and honesty of Brody.
That's right.
Is that he won't take the easy way out. He cares about doing what's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Is that he doesn't care about what's going to happen to the shops. He doesn't care. He wants
No
to do
bottom
the
line.
right thing.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful, and not in a John Wayne way, not in a big heroic way, in an
Absolutely.
ordinary guy way.
Yeah.
In a John McClane sort
In a
of
John
way.
McClane
He's
way,
a
yeah.
very diehard sort of, like, I just got to get the job done.
Yeah.
I'm a good guy,
Yeah.
and whatever it takes to get it done,
Yeah.
I got to get
You
over
gotta
my
do-
own stuff
Yeah.
and get it done.
All right, our next pitch. Chief Brody. He's trapped in a building with terrorists.
Oh, that's great.
Chief Brody goes home. And the making faces scene.
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene in the film.
It's
my favorite
So
scene.
why is it your favorite scene?
Because it's, to go back to what you were saying earlier, it's the beginnings of these signature Spielberg moments
Yeah.
and things that he does in every one of his films. And Spielberg with parents and their children, I don't know if anybody does that sort of filmmaking better.
Yeah.
Like, he
I agree.
understands he understands kids, and he understands how to get them comfortable on camera and how to get them to be real on camera.
Yeah.
Far and away better than anybody else who's
Particularly
made a
at
movie.
this time in his career.
Yeah.
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 Like he's so...
And he's a young guy. I mean, what is he, 27 when he's
Yeah,
making
he's
Jaws?
27.
So he's already got that, sixth sense about how to do that. I mean, it's incredible.
Well,
but the scene, man, talk about it.
Well,
Yeah.
we got to say, Spielberg comes on he's a boy genius.
He is.
As much as I'm not going to make Orson Welles comparisons,
Yep.
but he's one of those people who
Yeah.
comes pretty much fully formed.
Absolutely. He's a film school, not dropout, but he didn't finish film school, and he's still the greatest filmmaker, arguably, in the history of Hollywood.
The thing about him is that he has this kind of belief in himself that like Paul Thomas Anderson. We talk about Paul Thomas Anderson. Paul Thomas Anderson acted as if.
Right.
And Spielberg does it. Spielberg sneaks on the lot. Spielberg sits in an office and lies to people that he's actually a director
Yeah.
on the lot.
Well, let's tell the story. If you're going to tell the story, we got to tell the whole story.
Okay, fine. But I'm just saying these are these things that I know about him from doing the research or doing the class that I took for a whole summer school session on him. It's amazing the tricks that he pulled, but he had laid the groundwork within himself that this is where he was supposed to be, and he didn't need to stay in those situations.
I totally
yeah.
agree. We've hinted at this story.
Go ahead.
We got to tell the story,
Please.
So Spielberg shows up. He's made Amblin. He's made a short film.
Yeah.
Some people
Right.
have seen it. He meets someone, I don't remember who it is, who's executive at Universal, and says, "Hey, I like you, Steven Spielberg. Alfred Hitchcock is shooting on the Universal lot. Do you want to come on one day and watch him shoot?"
Yep.
Spielberg goes, "Of course." He goes to the gate. He gets a day pass. He meets the guard at the gate.
Yep.
He says, "Hi, nice to meet you. I'm really excited. I'm going over to see Alfred Hitchcock."
Yeah.
He goes to see Alfred Hitchcock for the day. It was really cool. Goes
Yeah.
home. Next day, decides to drive back to Universal. Doesn't have a day pass, but he knows the guard. He says, "Hey,
What's up?
George? Good to see you." Gets onto the lot. Security maybe not quite as tight as it is now.
Yeah.
Gets onto the lot and just tools around the Universal lot. Has a nice time. Goes home that night. Next day, comes back. "Hi, George. Good to see you. Here I am again." Goes onto the lot. Starts looking around. Sees people shooting. Finds some empty offices.
Wow.
Goes, maybe I'll just hang out in this office. This seems kind of nice.
There you go.
Goes home that night, grabs his typewriter, goes back. "Hi, George." Goes into the office, starts writing in the office.
incredible.
Then this goes on for day after day after day, and then he realizes, I could really use a phone. So he goes back, and when he's coming in, he knows George, and he says, "George," he says, "Hi, Stephen. Hi, George." He goes, "George, I don't get it. I've been waiting for them to set up a phone. Oh man, for weeks, and no one's coming by
brilliant.
my office. And George says, "Oh, well, you got to talk. Those guys, they're terrible. You gotta talk to Shirley over in maintenance. She's the one to talk to get you the phone." He calls up Shirley. "Hey, George said Shirley, you're the person I should talk to." Gets his phone set up. He's there for months.
That's fantastic.
Just sitting out there writing.
Yep. Just
Not
sitting there
making
writing.
a dime, just hanging
Nope,
out
just
and,
being on the
and
Universal
faking it
backlot.
till he makes it.
He totally Costanza that shit.
He did. It's a full Costanza. Well, and this goes to what you're saying of, directing is not a job for people who, I won't say that insecure people don't direct,
No, it's true.
but I will say that you have to be able to put forth a front, and Spielberg, as the captain of this ship, literally, on this island where everything is going wrong and everyone is looking to him, he can't show weakness.
Right.
And the guy that could bullshit his way onto the Universal backlot is also the guy that was able to keep the shoot going.
Yeah.
And I think also from a creative standpoint, you have to you learn this, and the fact that he had it that early, but you learn that you have to be the last word. You have to be this as a director. You have to be the last word and go, this is what we're doing, whether it fails or succeeds. This is what we're doing. So when you show that, if you're Steven Spielberg out in the middle of the ocean on a boat that's sinking, you have to be the guy that goes, we're going to get it done, because you have to rally your troops. You have to be the cheerleader. And if you start to act like, oh, we're fucked, then you're fucked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like it takes some of us longer to learn how to do that.
Sure.
It took me ages. Like I as a writer, you second guess yourself all the time, and when somebody gives you control of something, then suddenly you're like, oh geez, is this the right thing? But then you finally just you just got to go, no, this is what we're doing. This is where we're going. Trust me.
Well, that writer,
and then you're fired.
Yeah, exactly. that writer world is like you in a room with all your insecurities, trying to constantly second guess and over and over again, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
And the world of production is, I'm in the middle of it, and I have to be able to point, and we have to go that way. And it's actually what I like both of them. It's why I like writing and directing, is that there's a certain amount of time in the writer's room where I can't handle it anymore.
Right. Wow.
And I want to go out with people, and I want to be, because being a director forces you to be decisive.
Yes.
It forces just like, there is no time to second guess.
That's right.
Yeah.
You have to say, this is what it is. And lots of times, you actually don't have the data to make a good decision.
Right.
Spielberg's on the
right.
boat,
Yeah.
and that sail shows up in the distance, and he has to make the calculation: am I better off turning our boat or switching to a different shot, which is going to take me an hour,
right?
Or am I better off holding off here and waiting for that boat to go by, and hoping that no other boat shows up on the horizon the next moment,
right?
And there is no way of knowing, and you just make a call, and that's tough.
Absolutely.
And the strength of Steven Spielberg at this time to do that, remarkable.
And to put a more of a period on that point, Steve, to keep the executives off his ass, keep the Hollywood, to keep Brown and Zanuck happy, back in Hollywood, and to have them keep, the bean
The
counters.
money people, because this movie's going over budget and over schedule, and we don't know that we're going to get anything.
Yeah, they're taking their confidence from him. So whether he's faking it or not, they're going back and going, no, he's got it under control.
Right.
So Brody is as down as you possibly can be.
Yes.
And
the scene.
And one of the things, by the way, about the Making Faces scene is that actually came from Roy Scheider, because between takes, Roy Scheider's sitting with the kid, and he just started doing this.
It's great.
And
that's great.
He goes to Spielberg and he says, Steven, you gotta come over here and watch this. And Spielberg watches it, and that's how it ends up in the movie.
Brilliant.
Wow.
That's really great.
Yeah.
Really good.
And then in walks Matt Hooper with a couple of bottles of wine.
That's right.
Sure.
And all of his personality. And you see, it's just, I love watching Roy Scheider fill up his glass.
All the way to the top.
I love the Roy that Hooper's going, oh, maybe you should let that breathe. It's okay. And you see a little detail that Hooper was brought up in a certain way. He bought a red and a white. I bet they're expensive.
Some refinement to him there. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
And that's when we find out we're going to go cut the shark open, because we don't believe this is the shark.
Right.
Cut the shark open. It's not the shark.
No.
That's right. Brody's worst nightmare.
Putting on the mask again. Okay.
Yeah.
He throws all the stuff out there. It's out of his head. Yeah.
And that is real, by the way. Tiger sharks really do eat all sorts of weird crap.
Yeah.
That one is true. And we're going to go off on Hooper's boat.
The fancy boat.
Yeah.
Orca.
With all its bells and whistles.
They have a great sort of drinking and boating scene where they have a great conversation.
Yeah.
Where we hear a little bit of each of their sort of strange craziness. And then we find Ben, what's his name? Ben.
Oh, Ben, not Ben Harper. That guy's a singer.
Who's that?
It's not Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah, it's not Lenny Kravitz.
Let's do it.
Ben Gardner.
Ben Gardner.
Hey.
Ben Gardner, that's it. There you go.
Is that the
Not
mayor's
Ben
name?
Harper. Ben Harper, I was close.
Not that mother scratcher, Ben Gardner.
Who's a local that they
Yeah.
cast.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And Hooper goes, "Oh, I'm going to go get in the water and start swimming around at night." This is where I'm actually a little scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great scene. Great scene. Great scare.
Yeah, and you know that you probably know Spielberg didn't like it at first.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't know this.
Yeah, so they have their so you finish a film and you're going to go out and you're going to have test screenings.
Wow.
So you're going to show
Right, to see what would happen.
to see what would happen. So we're having a test screening, and the audience is going nuts.
Yeah.
They're screaming, they're laughing, they're crying, they're cheering, and at the end of the movie, everyone's going, "This is it! You did it! You did it!"
Yeah.
And Zanuck and Brown walk up to Spielberg and go, "It's perfect! It's amazing! It's off the charts! It's incredible! You're a hero!" And Spielberg goes, "I'm not happy."
Oh.
And he said, "There's one more scream. There's one more good scream we didn't get."
Did they film that scene in a tank?
In a swimming pool?
In a swimming pool. Okay. That's why this is ringing a bell.
So he
Okay.
didn't like the way the head fell out of the hole.
Oh.
It's like, and there's two choices. It's like the head can fall out and the audience sees it before Dreyfuss sees it.
Right.
The head could fall up right as Dreyfuss walks up. Dreyfuss can look up and then the head could fall out.
Right.
And he's trying to figure out which is the scariest. They go to film it in a tank, and it's not Richard Dreyfuss. It's someone else who does that big face.
Oh, really?
Films it multiple times.
That's not Dreyfuss in the film?
I believe in that one.
Really?
Yeah, I just did the face.
Wow.
In that one shot, I think it's not Dreyfuss.
No
I'm
kidding.
not 100% sure.
No kidding. Wow.
And tries a bunch of different takes of it, puts it into the movie, does the next test screening, huge scream.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Dude,
it is.
dude doesn't have an eye. Come on now. He comes right at you.
Yeah, it's scary.
They put that in 3D these days.
So despite the fact that we found dead Ben Gardner's head,
Yes.
Mayor still didn't want to close the fucking beaches.
No.
Right.
Yeah, and we're arguing with
Murray.
him. And this is, it's funny. As a younger person watching this scene, I go, that denial is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And as an older person who watches various people in power make various decisions over long periods of time, I go, denial seems pretty normal.
And also being a grown-ass adult who plans things and goes, I think I can still make this happen, even though all of the shit is hitting the fan. Like, as adults, you go, oh, wait a minute, there's still a chance I can pull this off until, no, this is not happening anymore. You have to eat it. And that's what the mayor's doing. He has to eat it at this point.
Well, and the shark apparently is going to eat it too because it's time for the 4th of July.
Yes.
It's the biggest day on the beach of the year. Yep. We get this great John Williams music cue.
That's the scene I was talking about. Yes.
Where it's like they're lining up for slaughter. They're just marching down to the beach. Of course, nobody's actually going in the water.
No.
Yep.
We got Coast Guard. We got all sorts of police. We got people with rifles. No one's going in the water. Finally, people start going in.
Isn't this where Peter Benchley is the reporter as well?
Peter Benchley's the reporter.
Oh,
He's,
right.
he's the one doing the beaches on July 4th or whatever. And he goes in people go in the water because the mayor walks up to that old guy. Is like, hey,
that rich couple that's
the rich
sitting
couple.
there,
Like,
yeah.
come on, you guys get
Please
nobody's
go in the
water.
water.
Nobody's
And I
going
love
in
the old
water.
guys. They go, well, the sun, and, I just put on my suntan lotion, and it's great. It's great stuff.
I can't go to the inauguration, but I go to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
And then again, we get all of these sort of just normal day at the beach stuff.
Yep.
And this is one of the key things, again, going to John Williams and Steven Spielberg, is there are a lot of horror movies where they feel their job is to scare you, and they will cheat to scare you. Spielberg doesn't cheat. And one of the keys to that is that when we see a shark fin shows up, and people are scared and running away, and it's a fairly scary scene. There's no shark music. There's no music.
Right.
Is that they don't cheat. As opposed to a lot of horror movies where you're walking down the hallway and there's creepy music, and then the cabinet opens and you hear "Brrrp," and you have the big scare and everyone jumps. It's a cat. It's a cat. Well, that is the filmmaker coming in to lie to you.
Yeah, right.
And we
Good
like
point.
that. It's not that people don't like it.
Yep.
But this movie is honest in a way that movie is not.
Right.
We don't cheat. We have the fake scare. And of course, after you have the fake scare, you know the real one is coming.
Yeah.
Shark! Michael's in the pond.
And it's constructed so perfectly, you know, because you see the fin in the distance, and you hear the woman.
Which is that one of the first times we've seen the fin?
Yeah.
This is where we really first start to see the shark.
Right. And what's great is the woman's reaction, right? The hippie painter, whoever she is.
It's a shark.
Yeah, just the shark. Exactly. When you see Jaws 2, the same thing happens when they're out on those connected boats and barge.
right.
That girl has that freak out. You can't say it because when you see the enormity of a 25-foot creature like this, words fail you.
Well, it was great too, you know, because when she does that, Scheider he's just had to eat crow or whatever you want to call it, because it was the bluefish or whatever, and he got it wrong from his tower, his watchtower, and then he's just like he's kind of exhausted, and he's here, you know, he's walking, and he hears her, and you just see him kind of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. This is the real thing.
Well,
and then he takes off.
What's
on that
the key
run.
piece of information for this?
It's his wife saying Mikey's in that
Oh,
cove.
right.
Yeah.
His kids are in the pond. It's going to. He sent his kids to the pond to keep them safe.
Exactly.
And where's the shark heading? To the pond. And I think this sequence is really scary. And I think the scariest shot of Bruce is the shot behind the guy who's trying to help him.
Yes.
Where the shark comes up. That's where it looks. That's where that fake mechanical shark works the best. is in that shot.
Good point, man.
And then you have this severed leg slowly.
Yeah.
And it's funny. It was, and one of the things to get it to have the right rating was how long they stayed on that leg. Originally, they let it hit the ground, blood poured out, and they were going to get the. I think it's is it R rating?
Well, I mean, PG-13 didn't exist then. That wasn't until Temple of Doom, I believe.
Yeah, that's Temple of Doom.
Yeah, so you know, it's between PG and R, and like, how tame does that seem by today's standards? You know,
and so now. I think we all agree there's a problem with this shark, and even our friend the mayor agrees. And his performance is really good in the hospital.
Oh,
he's
God,
freaked
he's
out.
so good.
Well, I don't want us to
go
run
ahead.
there just yet. I think this scene is really important because you're right. What you said, the ferocity of the shark, right? The biting of the leg. But I also think what it does to his kid. Right, the shock,
because he kind of goes into a shock coma or some sort. Yeah,
because the filmmaking is so good here that you feel like you're riding the shark, and then you feel like you're the kid at the same time with the angles that they're using.
And it got personal for Brody at that
Brody.
point.
That's what it was, and that is something. And Ellen Gray's reaction, where she's like, oh, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" Like all of that is all very real and natural, and it adds. It adds what you're talking about, Steve. Like, they don't cheat. The horror they do here is real horror. It isn't bullshit horror for jokes or for gags. It's real life, levels deep horror. And it's a family being ripped apart by the shark, like almost being ripped apart by the shark, literally. You know, and that's what's so. I think that's so important in this scene that it becomes personal for Brody, like you're saying, Eric. Yeah, absolutely.
because to go back to the hospital scene when Brody has here's the sign, here's
here's
the thing that you're going to sign to close the beaches. His intensity. And when he pulls the mayor behind the curtain, and the mayor is he's just sitting there he's reasoning it out to himself. They're like, yeah, this is why I did it, but this is what we're gonna do now because this is obviously the right thing to do. And Brody's like, yeah, we're gonna do that. Like, there's that awesome Roy Scheider, like, intense craziness that those great actors have. Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah,
it's so good
because he knows better. He knows he was right all along. He knows the mayor was wrong all along.
Right.
And he hates himself for having sacrificed his principles for the mayor.
And his kid almost got eaten for it.
For that reason.
Or his kid's in the hospital for it. So, yeah.
Right. And but then what's a great button to that scene is the mayor saying, Martin, my kids were on that beach as well.
Right.
And that's so powerful.
Right.
You know?
Well, and this goes to, what does it take to change your worldview?
Yeah.
And as we look at the world today, apparently a lot. You know, you could be presented with a lot of stuff and still hold on to the way you want to look at the world. And as much as I'd like to
Donald
believe,
Trump is going to have to get his life saved by a Muslim to change his shit. Let's just go there, all right?
There it is.
A Muslim shark. There you go. But please, sorry, I interrupted you.
The thought of the Muslim shark has derailed me slightly.
Are we pitching another show now?
It's a good one.
This season on Fox Animation Domination, Muslim shark.
Muslim shark.
Wow. I'm still a little derailed. All right, so because the thing
we have
that
friends
we
that'll
come
buy that show, Steve.
The thing that we come out of the hospital with is Quint.
Yes.
Now it's time. And this is the shift. This is the transition of the film. The film up to this point has been man versus man.
Yeah.
And the film
Now.
is now becoming man versus shark.
Yep.
And the thing is, and again, this goes to whether or not I think this is a horror film. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
It is so fun. And I have to say, so this is a scene I teach. The scene where we all meet Quint in Quint's place is one that I'll spend 25, 30 minutes discussing.
Yep.
And there's a lot here.
Yeah.
The first thing I will say is that you make a tremendous number of choices as a director, and every one of your choices should exist to reveal character. And this is one that is so powerful. The first thing is the environment.
Yeah.
Is just by seeing the space that Quint lives in, we learn a lot about Quint.
Yeah.
If you look at the opening shots of the scene, which is Brody and Hooper walking into the space, each of their reactions to the space reveals character. Is that Brody walks in and goes, "What the fuck is this place?"
Right.
And Hooper walks in and goes, "Oh my God, this is awesome."
Yeah.
That is their reaction to the space. Of
course.
And already, right at this moment, we understand a little bit about this scene.
Yeah.
And all this dialogue in the scene, it's not that it's unimportant, it's that you're not really listening to it. Because what you're actually dealing with is the interplay between the characters. Like, Hooper says a bunch of stuff about where he served, and
Right.
we talk about different kinds of, you don't really hear that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, here's an example of why it's so brilliant, is that we walk in and Quint offers Brody a shot of some kind of moonshine.
Yeah.
Hey, Chief, you try this. Made it myself. Pretty good stuff.
Thanks.
Why does he do that?
Oh, I think it seems to me tradition to, because he's an old school guy, to welcome him to his place with a shot. But it's also a way of testing his man.
There you go.
That's what
There
I was
you go.
gonna say.
Yeah.
The
I think it's to see the reaction that he gets out of him.
And if you watch it, so watch this scene, and if you watch Quint as Brody takes the shot, he is staring at him, going, "What are you going to do?" And what does Brody do?
Brody's the one that spits it out, right?
He takes a little tiny sip.
That's right.
And he holds it in his mouth.
Yeah.
And when Quint's not looking,
Right.
he spits it out.
Yeah.
Has Brody passed the manhood test?
Quint's got his back turned, right?
No, well, Quint knows he didn't shoot it.
Right.
He does not pass the manhood.
No, he doesn't.
Okay.
Then, yeah.
He fails the manhood
Yeah.
test. Now, what does Hooper do?
Oh, I'm forgetting what Hooper does in that
Yeah.
scene.
Hooper takes the shot.
Right.
Oh,
does
Hooper does it?
Yeah, he takes the shot out of Brody's hand. Brody says, "Don't drink that." Hooper shoots it. So right here already we've established.
Which kind of pisses Quint off too, because Quint wants him to wilt like a little flower too. You
Well,
know?
and this is the thing, is that this is this class structure, and it's the sense of
Yeah.
who respects who, and where the manhood competition is that Quint continuously disrespects Hooper, who theoretically he should give more respect to, because Hooper knows his way around boats.
That's right.
He could, he knows about sharks.
Right.
Brody doesn't know anything. He's a full landlubber.
Yeah.
But he gives more, I would say that he gives more respect to Brody in a way of disrespect
Yeah.
than he does give to Hooper, who he secretly knows to respect a little bit. It's very complicated what's going on.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And,
It's good. I'm sorry.
sorry, I have so much to say about this. Please. And Hooper, what does he want when he comes in? He wants Quint's respect.
Yeah, prove it.
That's
Right.
why he takes a shot. And there's this moment where Brody is introducing Hooper, and he says, "Oh, this is Matt Hooper. He's from the Oceanographic Institute." Hooper interrupts him and says, No, I've crewed 3 Transpacks, and I've been on an America's truck trial. So what he's doing is and this is it's good exposition because it's just throwing it out there. But what he's doing is saying, don't introduce me as a scientist.
Right.
Yeah.
Introduce me as a guy who knows boats.
As a seaman.
As a seaman.
Yeah.
And again, does Quint listen to that or take that to give him respect? No, he doesn't respect him.
This is Matt Hooper.
I know who he is.
I have crewed 3 Transpacks.
Transplants.
No. He's from the Oceanographic. America's Cup trial.
Mr. Hooper, I'm not talking about pleasure boating or day sailing. I'm talking about working for a living. I'm talking about sharking.
Well, I'm not talking about hooking some poor dogfish or sand shark. I'm talking about finding a great white.
Porkers? Talking about porkers, Mr. Hooper. Just tie me a sheep shank.
And then what's he ask him to do? He asks him, tie me a sheep
Tie me a
shank.
knot.
Yeah.
Tie me a sheep shank.
Yep.
And this is, again, there's a great moment. So now Hooper is starting to get pissed off. Hey, you should give me some respect. Why are you giving me no respect? He's tying the knot. And this is a key directorial moment. Hooper finishes tying the knot. He throws it to Quint. Now you have a character choice to make. You could either have Quint look at the knot and say, "Oh, good job." You could have Quint look at the knot and say, bad job. Or, and this is the choice they do, you could have Quint not look at the knot at all.
Doesn't give a shit. Yep.
Does not give a shit because the test didn't matter because he didn't give you any respect in the first place.
Right.
That is good directing and brilliant fucking acting.
Yeah.
And that's immediately after he grabs his hands, right?
Next,
he does the city hands.
comes next.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
the knot, the hand.
Oh, after, yeah.
So first of all, one of the best cuts of all time from Verna Fields. The cut to the they turn into frame and you cross the line. You'll see the cut I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's an amazing cut. And then there's this monologue of,
Give me your hands. Dogfish. You got a $5,000 net. You got $2,000 worth of fishing, and along comes Mr. Whitey. By the time he's finished with that net, looks like a kiddie scissor class has cut it up for a paper doll.
again, we don't really understand what Quint's saying. You got 3,000 pounds of net and this, and you got, along comes Mr. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. But I know like a really intense moment is happening.
You got city hands, Mr. Hooper. Been counting money all your life.
All right. Hey, I don't need this. I don't need this working class hero crap.
And in this moment, framed between Quint and Hooper, is Chief Brody taking off his glasses. And his line is,
You're not going to do this aboard the ship, are you, Mr. Quint?
That's right.
and now we have our threesome.
Yeah.
This is a great threesome.
It is.
To go off on an adventure.
Absolutely.
Well, and from what I've read, the rumors are they didn't like each other on set at all, Dreyfuss and Shaw. Like Shaw purposely went out of his way to pick on Dreyfuss the whole time because he saw Dreyfuss as the old school, the new school of acting, and Shaw was the old school of acting. Right? You came in and you just did it.
Well, Dreyfuss kind of has he's got the reputation of having airs anyway. Like he had an attitude.
Him and Hoffman both,
right?
As these small nebbish Jewish guys coming into the
new school of like
respect.
method, New York actor guy.
Exactly, that chip on their shoulders, and you have that because it happened with Olivier and Hoffman and
Right,
Marathon Man. Same thing,
Marathon
Man.
Man.
So you have this kind of thing.
It's called acting.
Yes, exactly. And it works because it brings the tension of their relationship into the actual film, and it's powerful. And it also works on another level too, because if you break this thing down and make it in 2017 terms, right? You're looking at Quint as a Trump supporter. You're looking at Dreyfuss as a Obama or Clinton supporter. Because,
Bernie.
Yeah, Bernie.
Yeah,
like
he's a Bernie
basically,
guy,
and then you have Scheider as kind of like this guy, the middle America, like trying to figure out which side I'm going to be, which side I'm going to vote for. Right? He's trying to, and he does smart things. Brody doesn't have to prove his manhood. He's the chief of police.
That's true.
So him sipping and spitting it out is, I don't have to do this stupid
he's
game.
not interested in those
He
games,
doesn't.
yeah.
But Hooper is so desperate to, because nerds sometimes need this approval from men, from like primal men, because they feel that they're not primal men, and the vice versa. Like primal men are intimidated by nerdy men, so they have to constantly test their manhood as a way of establishing dominance. And you see this happening psychologically in that whole scene.
Absolutely. Well, and the thing is that Quint is right.
Yes.
Hooper is a rich kid.
Yes.
And Quint, in a matter of seconds, has pointed out Hooper's greatest insecurity.
Hits all the buttons at once.
Is that Hooper spent his life going out and trying not to be a rich kid.
Right.
And going, I'm going to go, hang out with great white sharks.
Yeah.
Great point.
And one more thing I want to point out about these three characters is people ask questions when I'm teaching of like, well, how do you come up with a great character? And the answer, of course, is, well, have some talent. And, there isn't like a system. But complexity of characters and complexity of conflicts is something that's really valuable. Yeah. And this, in terms of setting up three characters to go on an adventure together, is so well done because they all have the same goal. The goal is to get the shark.
Right.
Yeah.
But their nature and their motivation is very different. So for Brody, he has no interest in sharks. He doesn't like the water. He doesn't like boats. His motivation is kill the shark to protect the people.
That's right.
That's why he's trying to do what he's doing. Hooper probably does want to protect the people, but that's not really his main motivation.
No.
He wants to go out to find the shark because he loves sharks.
Yeah.
He's obsessed with sharks. Sharks are his great passion. And while he believes that this shark does need to be killed, he wants to, it's scientific curiosity that's driving him.
Yeah.
Quint wants to kill the shark. He's also obsessed with sharks in like the opposite way. He hates sharks, and I think, in my interpretation of his character, he has hunted sharks his whole life because he is deeply afraid of sharks.
Yes.
Sure.
And that is him fighting his own fear, proving his own manhood. So
Yeah.
now we have these three guys.
He's got a personal story with sharks.
Which we're going to get to.
We'll get there, yeah.
And now we have these three guys who are going out to do the same thing, but they're completely different motivations, different backgrounds, and that's where we're going to get good drama.
Well, yeah, and when you look at Quint, the reason why he's afraid of these sharks is because of what happened, which we find out later. But what happens at that is that his entire manhood is cut out from under him, and the thing that cut out his manhood is the thing that he hunts and destroys all the time in a vain effort to reestablish his manhood.
I mean, the Moby Dick metaphors are not accidental.
No,
the
exactly.
of this guy is well set up.
Absolutely.
Sure.
So we sail out to sea, and there's just a beautiful shot through the shark jaws.
Yes.
And I want to bring up now 2 more leitmotifs from our friend Sean Williams.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one is there are 2 ones that are sort of sailing adventure themes.
Yes.
And they both sound very sailor-like. The instrumentation is with flutes and
They're high.
and one kind of goes dun 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 dun
Yes.
dun 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 dun.
Yep.
No, there's nothing more joyful.
Yes.
I mean, and the other
Adventure
one is
time.
Yeah, it's we're going out
It really
on a big
is.
adventure.
Yeah.
And the other one is do 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 do
That one, yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Also very, very, very adventurous and joyful.
Judge, stand by fire drill. Damage control report. Weather bulletin. Nor'easter coming. Bad news for Madison Avenue. You know what I'm talking about, Chief? The Mrs. Chief. If they don't like you going out, they'll love you coming in. Oh, yeah. Oh, in the bottle of 15.
And we're going to hear these themes later on, but played in a really different way.
Yeah.
And we're so happy to get off the island
Yeah.
and start going after the shark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
We get to see life on board.
Yeah.
We get some chumming.
And you get to see how adept Hooper is
he knows what
on a
he's
boat,
doing. Yeah.
and that he knows what he's doing, which pisses Quint off.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and Quint hates all of his scientific, mumbo jumbo and his tools and his all the stuff he brought out there. But is it useful? For sure, it is.
Well, and
Eventually.
again,
Yeah.
Spielberg very good at classic plants and payoffs of hey, be careful, that's compressed air.
right,
You could blow us all up.
yeah.
No, you can't. But scuba tanks don't explode.
Yeah, right.
It's not true.
Right.
But it's beautifully set up.
Yes.
And then we have this first moment. We have Brody's trying to tie a
Wait,
knot.
do you mean in Superman when he flies around the Earth and turns it backwards?
No, that does change
Would
time.
that change time? All right.
Every
cool.
time Superman
I just
does
wanted
it,
to
it's worked.
Because I don't want my mind to be blown just now. All right, thanks. Anyway, keep going.
So we're on boat. Brody's practicing tying knots. And there's this slow tension build.
God, that's such a good scene.
Beautifully done. Where he's putting on strapping himself in, and he's got the fishing pole, and Brody's totally underwear, and then that
he's just
line,
working on his knots.
and it's so, again, Spielberg does things in a way that's perfect.
Yeah.
The moment he says, "I got it,"
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I got it. What? Get behind me.
Here's my question: is that the shark?
I always thought it was.
Wow, that's a really
Hooper
good.
says it's not.
That's a really good question.
Hooper says it's not the shark.
Oh, because it says cut the line.
Cut the line, it's not the shark.
That's right. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever get to know.
That's
Yeah,
a good
that's true.
question, dude. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I guess I always thought it was, but now that we're examining it,
He's almost insulting him too by saying like, "Just cut the line. It's not the shark. It's not the shark." And then, what do you know? What do you know? There's that battle again. Yeah, another reason to battle.
And the resolution doesn't really matter because what's important is the battle between Quint and Hooper.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move
Yeah.
a little further forward, and now we get to the moment.
Yeah.
Brody's chumming.
Slow ahead. I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
And up comes Bruce. And by the way, we should say that took like 9 million takes because that shark didn't work.
Oh
Right.
wow.
To get that shark to do that one thing, it took a long, long time.
And upon rewatching it a million times, it's totally evident that it's a mechanical shark.
Right.
But you watching it in a theater for
First
the first
time.
time on a TV screen, you shit your pants.
Of
I mean,
course,
like, you know,
of course.
without to put a
Which is-
fine point on it, man. Like,
Yeah.
it is scary. And Brody is his reaction, that reverse shot of him after
Yeah.
he does
Oh,
it.
when he
and-
pops
and-
in a frame?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
mean,
it's
he's
great.
like, and I don't think his cigarette drops out of his mouth yet, but like he's backing. Was it back when he's backing up into the thing? He had a cigarette.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it drops out of his mouth when
I don't know.
when he backs up into
Now I have to
the
look again.
cabin
This-
where
I have to look.
where Quinn
Yeah.
is. I think it just kind of like naturally falls out. It's so good.
It's
Yeah.
the speed with which he comes into frame, which I wonder
Yeah.
if Spielberg sped up even more.
Maybe.
Because
Oh,
he
good
just
call.
goes.
He
It's
just
just
snaps
literally
right up there.
It's like stepping on a garden rake. Like the wood goes right up. It was like, ding, you're like that, and you're just like, holy shit, and he's just frozen. And he just says that line. He says that line,
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Well, and remember, we barely seen the shark.
Yes.
I mean, like we had the little moments.
This is the first time to see the
This is the
size.
first, and he goes in, and what do we get? Our most famous line in the film.
We're going to need a bigger boat.
An improvised line.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
Yeah.
Wow.
No
improvised.
kidding.
Wow.
Oh man, great. That's great.
And now we're really doing it.
Shut off that engine.
And there's this great sequence of we're going to shoot the barrel on. And what are the barrels? Why do we have barrels?
Well, just keep
Trackers.
but also to
Right?
keep the shark afloat. Keep the shark.
Oh, keep him from going down
Keep him
deep.
going down
Yeah,
deep.
These are exactly true.
Yeah.
Why does the film have barrels? Because the
Oh.
shark doesn't work.
Oh,
That's what the barrels are.
Right.
The barrels are a solution to the fact that we can't
brilliant.
see the shark.
Right. So it allows you to see this is where the shark's at in the water.
Wow.
Yeah. This
That's
is
why
the
we have
speed
barrels.
with which it's moving, which is
Yeah.
kind of impressive, you know, because
Yeah.
the thing is moving at a clip.
And they look great.
They do.
Yeah.
And this sequence, in terms of shot selection, editing, it's just music. It is beautifully done.
Yeah. It's like an action scene, really.
an action scene.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I think this movie is as much adventure film as it is horror film.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, this is full adventure in this sequence, and it's joyful. You know, we have our swell of adventurous music. We're charging off. We're gonna get it, and we put the barrel in him.
Bring it on the barrel! I'm coming around again!
And the shark gets away.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Hooper took too long to tie that stuff on there.
How would the shark have not gotten away if he had been earlier?
Well, if he had shot early, like where Quinn was trying to shoot first, he couldn't shoot in the head like he was trying to because Dreyfuss took too long to attach that thing.
Maybe.
But I think that's important because that everything leads to where it's going. So like you were saying, the compressed air, everything leads to
little
where
plant.
it's going. Every little mistake has to happen so that the end sequences happen. And so it makes sense. And I love that shot. Quinn at the end
the
of
pulpit.
in the pulpit. It's
beautiful
with
shot.
it looks as if the sun is going down.
That like evening shot or
Yes,
whatever it is.
and the
yeah.
music that's playing because he knows better. He
But
finally
he's
got the
relaxed
best
there
of
too,
Hooper.
which is crazy.
Yeah.
Like he's just
And a little judgmental.
He's judgmental.
He is
totally.
for sure.
He
But
got
I
the
just
best of
kind of
Hooper.
love how he's just like leaning
Yeah.
there. He's not tense.
No, he's like
not.
dad.
Like the moment has passed. He's
Yeah.
like, all right, we'll get him. But it's just, and judgmental as well. Like, yeah.
Well, and this is the
just
thing
got that
too.
shitty grin on his face,
Yeah.
dude.
One of the things too about coming up when we did and watching the film the way that we did, I watched this on VHS.
Right.
It wasn't until
Right.
I bought the Laserdisc that
Laserdisc.
I realized that this is a beautiful movie, and that shot in particular is gorgeous.
one of my
Cinematography is amazing.
I think my high definition TV is what did that for me. Like,
Oh, yeah.
being able to like see it on high def, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Oh, this
damn.
because you knew it was a good movie, but you
of
didn't know
course.
that. Oh,
Yeah.
this is beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah.
And the music here
beautiful
there is
film.
great too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna raise a glass because it's time to have some drinks with our boys.
One more time.
in the galley.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's so lovely to see these guys hang out. They've had a few drinks.
Yeah.
Start comparing scars. It's one of the great scenes of all time.
It really is.
You want to drink? Drink to your leg?
I'll drink to your leg.
Okay, so we drink our legs.
And it's so fun and light and funny and watching Dreyfuss and because what's interesting, Dreyfuss or Hooper and Quint, they're kind of extroverts.
Yeah.
They're like big guys, big personality guys.
Yeah.
Brody's not.
No.
Well,
Sit
one
on
of the
the
best
side.
parts about the Scar
Comparison.
face down
Yeah.
is the shot of Brody
Yeah.
lifting up. I forget whether it was a pant leg or
No, it's his shirt.
It was
his
shirt.
shirt.
To look
He
at the
lifts it
side,
up
yeah.
and he just looks at it,
Yeah.
doesn't say anything, puts it right back down.
Okay,
Right.
so
It's
here's
like,
my
I'm
next
not getting.
question.
I'm not getting into this competition with these two.
What's that scar?
That's a shark attack, I think, from when he was a kid.
Shark attack. Oh, really?
That's
That's
what,
why he's scared of sharks?
I
Never occurred to me.
I don't. That was always in my head that he got attacked by a shark when he was a kid, and that's why he ate the
Never would
water.
have occurred to me.
Wow.
What do you think it is?
I always thought it was because this is why he's chief of police at Amity, because he was in Manhattan, got shot.
That's what I always thought it was.
And left it to have
See,
a
I
more
connected it to
quiet
the
life.
water.
That's fair because he doesn't
connected
go
it
in
to
the
the
water.
water.
No, that makes perfect sense.
I actually always thought he was attacked. Maybe it wasn't a shark, but he was attacked by something in the water.
Right.
Fuck the water. Like
Yeah.
that's where I thought his head was,
Certainly
and
fair.
and the way that. If you look at the scar, it doesn't look like a bullet wound per se. Maybe it's a knife wound. Now that's not a bad
Oh, a knife
theory.
is possible.
It's not a bad theory with the whole Manhattan cop thing. But,
Right.
And I've heard other people say that it's an appendix, but I don't think that's nearly as interesting as either of these two stories. But what I love about his,
See, I like the idea that it's connected to the water.
Well, no, it makes perfect.
Yeah.
What I love is that he doesn't share it.
No.
Is that
No,
he's- It's something serious.
Yeah. An
But he doesn't
appendix.
share it.
But once again, he doesn't have to prove his manhood. He doesn't have to prove his
Well,
man.
I'll take it one.
Participate,
and
but he doesn't want
he's
to.
shy,
I'll take it
too.
one further.
Yeah, sure, but-
It's not. I don't even know if it's. He doesn't want to. He doesn't have to. I just don't think this is the time to get into a pissing contest with
fair.
these two. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I feel like he's like another
Well,
day.
and
Yeah.
they're
Another
getting
day.
along for the first time ever.
Right. Don't
So
interrupt
why
that.
fuck with it?
Yeah.
And I think
exactly.
that's all. I think they're getting along because Quinn had finally got the best of Hooper. Because by Hooper fucking up, not tying those things to the barrels quickly enough, that shot of him on the pulpit is finally
good.
Quinn having a little bit of superiority over Hooper, so that he can let his guard down a little bit and play with Hooper later on in the thing. I my mind is psychological. I'm just analyzing shit all the time. I'm probably seeing shit that isn't even there, but that's just the way I do films. Man.
But that's what.
But that's what's great about
What's
watching
great about,
movies.
Well, particularly this film is that there's so much here,
Yeah.
and there's so much that is not spelled out.
Yeah.
That we don't get to know what that scar was.
Right.
You know, we don't get to know exactly how we got from him on the pulpit to them drunk in the galley.
Yeah.
We don't get to know what that transition is.
Yeah.
Right.
Spielberg gives you just enough, and then no more.
Yep.
So we're comparing scars, and there's this one scar that Hooper asks about, and that was a tattoo that got erased.
Yeah.
It's the USS Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that's great about this moment is that Hooper immediately has a reaction.
Yes.
yeah, he's like, oh shit.
And Brody has no idea what we're talking about.
Right. Doesn't he
Hooper
make
knows.
no? Hooper makes a joke, doesn't he? 'Cause- no, wait.
No,
let me
I
guess.
think-
it's
I
his
think-
mom. It's
Well,
his
he says.
mom.
Well, he says. It's
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
Well,
He
what
makes
happened?
the-
Yeah, he says, "What is that? Oh, it's a tattoo I got removed."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh, don't tell me, mother."
Yeah.
And he goes,
And
"No, it's
Hooper
the
cracks
USS
himself up.
Yeah, Hooper's
Yeah.
laughing. He goes, "No,
Yeah.
it's the USS Indianapolis." And then Hooper's face just goes false.
Yeah, that
Such great
laughter
acting.
just
Such-
dies. And yeah. And
So
then gets
this-
it back to Scheider going, oh, what?
Yeah.
So this monologue. I don't know what the top monologues in film history are, but this is on the list.
Absolutely. Top 10, if not top 5.
It
Yeah,
is
I can't argue with
so
that. I can't argue with that.
Good.
It
and
is.
powerful, and it has a long history.
And he drank. Shaw was really drinking.
Yeah.
During
Oh,
the
yeah,
scene.
he
They
was
did
definitely
several takes of it.
Well, we got to start with the writing.
Yes.
So the idea had come up early, maybe in the Sackler script, and then Gottlieb does a pass, and it's fairly short. And then Spielberg's still not happy with it, so he calls up his buddy John Milius.
Right, Milius.
Milius comes in, and he does a pass,
Perfect.
and you could hear it. You can hear it in there. Spielberg's
Yes.
still not happy with it.
Who better to write that?
Yeah. And then the last person to do a pass on it is Robert Shaw. Robert Shaw wrote the final version that's in the movie.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
And this monologue, it's I think they only did 2 or 3 takes. A couple of two different angles on it. And what Dreyfuss says is he said he's never seen so much power coming off an actor.
That's
as he did.
amazing.
He said he was sitting, what he said is sometimes when you're acting with someone, you kind of have to pretend to be interested. You have to act like you're
Right.
interested. He could not take his eyes off Shaw. He said it was just like heat radiating off of him.
Very first light, Chief. Sharks come cruising. So we formed ourselves into tight groups. You know, it's kind of like old squares in a battle, like you see in a calendar, like the Battle of Waterloo. And the idea was, shark comes to the nearest man, that man he starts pounding and hollering and screaming. Sometimes the shark would go away. Sometimes he wouldn't go away. Sometimes that shark, he looks right into you, right into your eyes. You know the thing about a shark, he's got lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living until he bites you, and those black eyes roll over white, and then then you hear that terrible high-pitched screaming. The ocean turns red, and Despite all the pounding and the hollering, they all come in and they rip you to pieces.
That monologue is unbelievably powerful.
Yeah.
I would say top 5. If honestly, it's just delivered so perfectly. It's paced perfectly. It's built perfectly, and it leads to that. To once again, it leads to one of these things where it lays the groundwork for the lifeguard vest situation.
It's the last quiet moment in the film too.
Oh, that's a great point.
It's the
Great point,
last quiet moment in the film because the shark comes back. You have this kind of weird like cheat on the passage of time, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because it's dawn.
Yeah, it's dawn like 5 minutes later, which I always thought was like, they stayed up all night, but maybe they did. I don't know. But like, literally the shark is coming back around, and that sends us into the end of the film.
Well, and this is where we kind of go into Crazy Town. We have some pause after the end of the Indianapolis monologue, and then Hooper starts singing,
Show me the way to go home.
Yes, they start singing the song.
And it starts slow, and it becomes big and boisterous and louder and louder. And as they're really enjoying it, you see way off in the distance, the barrel comes up.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you know it's coming.
Yep.
And they're still singing. And then this shark goes apeshit crazy on the boat. He comes and starts taking apart this boat.
Yeah.
Which, on a storytelling level, you removing yourself from how amazing the film is and how well it works, you just go, what?
Yeah.
Well, the shark came back and attacked them, like he made it personal, but it's so good. Like, it's so good, like you don't care.
Well, Spielberg said something, and it was in reference to the scuba tank explosion.
Yeah.
Because Benchley said that's ridiculous, that would never happen.
Right.
What Spielberg said, but it totally applies to this moment. If I've got them this far, I can take them anywhere.
Yes.
Exactly.
And that's definitely true of this.
Absolutely.
That's what that is.
You've earned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that shark starts taking apart the boat. We get more barrels in him.
Yeah.
Still coming at us. We get 2 barrels. We get 3 barrels. They get 4 barrels in him, whatever that means.
Yeah.
And the ship, now there's water in the boat.
Yeah.
Right.
It's getting pretty darn scary. And now we're starting to, because there's water, the boat's getting flooded. We're starting to have engine trouble. And this is where we go through. This is a real transition, because we were hunting the shark. Now the shark is hunting us.
Yeah.
And this, I want to bring up one of the key, most brilliant, I think the most brilliant change from the book to the movie. In the book, the 3 guys go out to hunt the shark in the day and then go home at night and have dinner.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they go out the next day and they go home.
Okay.
Spielberg's choice is, once they're out, that's it.
Yeah.
That's part of why he didn't want to see any other boats. He didn't want to see any land. He didn't want to see civilization, because you are on your own of this. The isolation of this is key to the film.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely 100% key.
Yeah, it's not fun if they go home at the end of the night.
No, that's not
screw
scary.
that.
They have to be trapped, and now
That's
their
right.
engine is going out.
Yeah.
And in the middle of a chaotic scene where we're shooting the shark up with barrels, there's a call on the radio from Brody's wife, and he just says, "No, everything's fine, no problem." And then later on, when the boat's really starting to come apart, Brody goes, "I think I want to call home. Let's get the hell out of here."
Get somebody to come help us.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And what's Quint do?
It's an SOS.
Quint destroys the radio.
He does.
Now that's Crazy Town
That's great.
Yeah.
That's just great.
With a bat.
with a bat.
He was mad. He's so mad. Because he had tried to communicate last with the wife. Yeah, everything's fine.
Yeah.
And he's off the fight. But I guess this was his.
He might have even said "see you at dinner" or whatever. Yeah.
But there was anger because of him crashing the boat. Because he pushed it too hard. He has that fight. Isn't that right here?
Well, we're coming right there now.
Oh
yeah, sorry.
Burning out the engine. Yeah.
Yeah, right after that, when the shark is taking apart the boat and coming after them, Quint comes up with a bright idea. Well, I'll just head towards shore and draw the shark in and drown it. Now, this plan doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. And he's up there, and I've seen a lot of crazy acting in my time. But Quint pushing that boat forward with this, and he starts singing "Farewell and Adieu to You, Fair Spanish," and it's this. I'm terrified. I've gone over the edge. I'm pretending it's funny. I'm like all of this
he's
stuff.
Lost it. Yeah.
And you watch Hooper and Brody, they know he's lost it.
Yeah.
And he kills the boat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we're in a dead boat in the middle of the ocean with a killer shark that wants to take us out.
Yeah. It's us or him.
Yeah.
Yep.
But why does he do this? Why do you think he does this? You've been asking the questions of the podcast. Let's ask this question. Why do you think he does it? Why do you think he kills the radio? Why do you think he fucks up the boat? Why does he not want?
This is the Moby Dick of it, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is his white whale.
But why this one? Why
Because
this one?
because this shark is the biggest mother effer he's ever seen, or any of them ever seen.
Reminds him of the
It
Indianapolis
could be.
Sharks,
It
right?
could be that.
He's got
I mean,
that
but
thing.
like, yeah, I mean, it's the epitome of everything that he hates.
Right.
You know, so
I get this.
I'm not going back in. I'm not
this-
going back in till it's him or us.
Yeah,
you know?
right. And I get the story aspect of it.
Yeah.
Right? That makes total sense because you increase your tension by having a dead boat in the middle of the water. You eliminate
course.
all the possible options.
Right.
They have to rely on their wits and troubleshoot the situation as best they can if they want to live. I get that story-wise. My thing is like, why does Quint purposely destroy the radio? Purposely run the boat into the ground? Why does he do this? What is he trying to do?
Because here's what I think.
Yeah.
And I think one of the interesting things about writing characters is that it's not that everything they do has to make sense. It's that everything they do has to make sense within their own character.
Yeah.
And those
You're
aren't
right.
the same
That's a great
thing.
point.
Those
Yeah.
aren't the same thing. Is that he is a guy who is deathly afraid of sharks, in my opinion. We
Right.
don't say this, but this is what I believe.
Right.
From the experience on the Indianapolis, he is now absolutely terrified of sharks, and what he is, and he hates the part of himself that is terrified of sharks.
Yeah.
Right.
That he despises that
Yeah.
within himself.
Okay.
And so
He
he's
probably
created,
hates that about Hooper too, because Hooper is not afraid of sharks.
Oh, absolutely. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's
Hooper loves
I
sharks.
never thought about it, but I'm sure
Hooper's a
that's-
shark guy, so
Yeah.
so it's an extra level of hate on Hooper.
And so because he hates that element of himself, he's created a world for himself where he has to destroy that.
Yeah.
Because he's continually surrounding himself with that which he is terrified of.
Yeah.
And that is how he can feel like a man. He can feel okay. And now he is coming up against the biggest version of that fear. And if he had the radio, he's afraid that he would use it.
Yeah.
And so he has to put his back up against the wall in order to not give in to his own fear. That's why he destroys the radio. And when he finally is driving that boat in, is that he is gone. He's full panicked.
Yeah.
The fear has taken over.
Yep.
That's why he's not doing it because
that's
it makes
great.
any sense.
Okay.
He is completely running with his tail between.
Yeah.
He's trying to put
I'd buy
a face
that.
on the panic.
Yeah.
Like that's not what's happening, but that is in fact what's happening. He has lost it at
Yeah.
that moment. That's my opinion.
I believe. I
No,
buy
we
that.
can't know,
Right.
you know, what is happening. And that's also the power, like, great performances don't just hand you all the answers.
Yeah.
Great performances and great characters leave you going, who is this guy Quint?
Yeah.
And he is not, Brody and Hooper are knowable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quint is not knowable
Yeah.
on a certain level.
Yeah.
All
But,
right.
but it's not a false moment either. Him
No.
doing what he does, like you buy it, whatever the theory is behind it.
Yes.
Shaw sells it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like you're like, okay, this is how this guy's going out.
Yeah.
Like he's not leaving without either that shark or him in the water, and we know how it ends. So
Well,
for him, so.
And I just want to go back to something you said because
Yeah.
I think it's really important, which is you said, I know the story reason why these things happen.
Yes.
We have to destroy the radio. We have to destroy the boat because that's what has to happen plot-wise.
Right.
Frequently, because I see with a lot of young filmmakers, is they're having that be why it happens in the movie.
Okay.
And it's like, if you have a thing that you want to happen for a story reason like this, you must find character reasons that make it make sense.
Yeah,
You
okay.
can't impose your will on the movie and
Right.
make it go where it wants to go and force characters to do things that don't make sense. And in this one, that it is, whatever it is compelling.
Yeah.
So guys, fellas, we're trapped on this boat.
Yes.
Time to fight back.
yes.
Yeah.
Hooper, what exactly can you do with these things of yours?
Well, I think I can pump 20 cc's of strychnine nitrate into him if I can get close enough.
You get this little needle through his skin?
No, I can't do that. But if I can get him close enough to this cage, I think I could get him in the mouth or
That
the eye.
shark put that cage.
You got any better suggestions?
Now we're gonna use your science. Yeah.
Now we're going to use the science.
Right.
And Quint seems to have gotten himself under control to some degree at this moment.
Do you think so? I think he's scared.
Oh, there's
Well,
no question he's
still,
scared.
yeah,
but
I
he's
believe
not
it.
in the crazy place that he was when he killed the boat.
Well, that's what I mean. I think the shark has brought him back to that place he was back on the Indianapolis.
Sure.
When he's young, he's a Navy guy. He doesn't know any better. He's never experienced anything like this. He's back to being that scared kid again that he's been running from ever since that attack happened to him on the Indianapolis. And you see Robert Shaw do a fantastic job of subtly switching from this very primal caveman type guy to this
Like, what do we
kind
do
of
now?
scared, nervous
okay, what do we
dude.
do?
He relies on Hooper at
Vulnerable
that point.
dude. Yeah,
what do we
exactly.
do?
Yeah.
And we go into
He surrenders all his power to Hooper.
Yeah. You're right. That's a good point, man.
once we come up with the plan, and the plan is insane, which is that Hooper's going to go into the
Yeah.
water in the cage
going to-
and try to hit him in the mouth.
Yeah, exactly.
With this thing, we go into what I think of as the archetypal, prototypical AT montage sequence. You know,
Oh,
where
the
it's like
building-
we're going to
building
build
the
the
stuff,
cage and
yep.
we're going to
Yeah.
do the thing.
That's
And
right.
we have my next leitmotif.
Let's gear
Yes.
up.
This
Yep.
this leitmotif I call the battle theme, and it's dun 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 dun.
Yep.
Easy. Easy. All right. Up she goes.
And one of the things that John Williams is
Such
so
a
great
great
at is
score.
building a theme. Is that it builds, and you keep thinking it's going to find resolution,
Yeah.
and it doesn't. It keeps building bigger and bigger and bigger as we build the cage.
Yeah.
And then when Hooper gets into the cage, and this is so lovely, and this is why you cannot overemphasize the genius of John Williams. First of all, it's a beautiful scene. He's in the cage. He's getting his mask.
Yeah.
We know he's going to go down, probably to his death. And this is, and at this moment, Quint fully respects Hooper. I don't think there's any we know that this guy's going to sacrifice his life to do the right thing. Brody hands him his mask, and he wants to clean it, and he says,
I got no spit.
that is so vulnerable and subtle.
Yep.
And the music we hear at the moment is the sailing theme from the beginning, but it's played in a minor key now.
That's
and we
awesome.
hear John Williams is telling you,
Yeah.
remember that thing that started off so great and adventurous?
Yeah.
This is
not
where we
there
are
anymore.
now.
Yeah.
And it's so perfect.
Yeah.
It's a perfect filmmaking moment right there.
Yeah.
Does it work out well for Richard Dreyfuss in the...
Eventually. Eventually, he's got
Was
to
that
shit.
stock
Speaking of
footage?
shitting his pants.
So,
Yeah,
of the
so-
shark?
Yeah.
So we have Dreyfuss goes into the water in
Yeah.
the cage, and what that is in South Africa. We
Yes.
sent these guys down to film great whites, and what they brought with them, because the great whites they were seeing were 16, 18 foot, which are still big
Yeah,
sharks,
yeah.
but they're not 25 feet. So if you're going to have a guy in the cage and the sharks are smaller, what are you going to do to have it look right?
Tiny man.
Got to get a little
Yeah.
person. So they get a little guy.
They got a jockey, right?
Oh.
No, he's
Wasn't a jockey?
He's like
No?
a stunt man.
Oh, he's a stunt guy, okay.
Doubled kids.
Okay.
Very fearless. No scuba experience.
Right.
Wow.
Spielberg meets him. He goes, "Yeah, I'm game to do this." They fly him down to South Africa,
Yeah, it's a good
and
story.
that's who's in the cage.
Wow.
And then the shot, which I think you're referring to, where the shark is on top of the cage
Yeah.
and goes crazy. There's no person in the cage at that moment,
Right.
but that really happened. Is that the
Mm-hmm.
shark swam over, got caught, and freaked out.
Oh, okay.
How good is that, though? Damn.
And that shot is amazing.
Yeah.
It's really, really awesome. Yeah.
And it's funny because one of the shark shows I worked on, there's a moment where there was some lines in the water and the shark didn't see the line.
Wow.
And he got caught. He had a big tag on his dorsal fin, and the tag got caught on one of these lines.
yeah.
And he didn't freak out quite at that level. But you see and I have divers in the water near that shark when
Yeah.
this shark freaked out, and the power of the shark that's lazily swimming along, and then all of a sudden he's like, "I gotta go."
Yeah.
And the power of that animal
That's
is
incredible.
unbelievable.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow, right on.
So one of the things I love is the reactions of Quint and Brody on the boat when they see what looks like is basically Hooper getting killed below them.
Because they reacted, like, immediately want to bring him up.
They're trying to bring him up, and it
the
breaks. And
The dolly breaks. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah.
yeah.
Which is the end of the boat.
And then, boom! Like just when we have this moment where we see Richard Dreyfuss swimming away, so we know he's safe.
No, we
Don't
don't.
we have it?
Well,
no.
we don't know.
Oh, we
we know
don't
he
know.
got away,
Okay.
but we don't know.
We don't know what happened to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we know he got away. So you're saying we don't see him swimming down? I remember seeing him
we
swimming
do.
down.
We see him swim down, but we don't know what his fate is.
Yes,
Right.
agreed. We don't.
He goes
So-
behind a rock.
Right, but
Remember
we're
that. Yeah.
this is what's great, masterful direction by Spielberg. He gives us this moment where we feel hope, and
Yeah.
then right when we think we're feeling hope, wham! The shark comes after the boat, like even more hardcore, right? Because he's in this frenzy, right?
Well, and this is the moment we've had the whole shoot trying to get that shark to work. Shark doesn't work, and this is the shot that Spielberg wants, which is that Bruce leaps out of the water onto the back of the orca,
Yes.
and kills Quint.
Yes. By the way, the compression air,
which is
rolling over and hitting his hand, so that he can't hold on any longer, is such a great poetic moment.
Little detail
of Hooper getting Quint back, even while he's not on the boat. While he's not on the boat,
Good
it's
point.
so great.
And a really great movie death too.
It's a good movie.
Really good movie death.
I mean, so for those of you who haven't seen the film, and for
What
those
the
of
fuck
you
are
who-
you doing?
Hey,
What
who
the
are
fuck
you?
are you doing?
But
Who is this?
I will say, if you're younger, yes, that shark doesn't look great. It's not
Sure.
It's good that it's not on screen for any longer than it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it is a great movie death. Quint gets basically chomped in half.
He does.
The shark slides away, the shark slides away, and now
Taking
we're
Quint
left
with
with
him,
with Brody alone
on a sinking boat.
on a sinking boat.
I want to say one thing.
Yes.
This death of Quint is one of the first deaths I ever saw on screen that really made me cry, because I really cared for that character. I
Yeah,
liked
right on,
Quint a
man.
lot. He had this. There's just something about him, you know. He beneath this whole veneer of bluster and whatever and chesty man, you could tell there was a vulnerable, scared guy underneath, which is why he had concocted this entire persona, you know. And so I felt like he was the hero on the boat at times, because of he was the one that drove them to go get this shit, drove them to kill him. And so when he dies, it's so powerful, and because of the Indianapolis speech too, you feel his death more, because he had survived all this shit to be killed by a shark anyways, and you're just like, damn it.
And to go back to how great a filmmaker Spielberg is too, there's no ceremony about his
No.
death. There's no
It
last
happens
shot.
very suddenly.
There's no last shot on his face. There's no music with it. It is him. It's like you just said.
Yep.
It's the shark slinking off into the water with Quint in his teeth.
In a Christ.
And it is just like he's gone.
Yep.
Like there is no like ceremony about it.
Yep.
It's just like, because Brody is still in it.
Yeah.
Like,
That's right, that's
Brody
right.
still has
Right.
we still got to deal with that.
The
So,
sounds
but
that-
it's a really great movie death in that way, but I get why that would be affecting.
Yeah,
to
well,
you.
also the squeals, the sounds.
Oh,
that it's
he's
so
dying,
powerful,
yeah. Oh, man.
and the desperation with the machete.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then finally the resignation
blood,
of
yeah.
acceptance and spitting the blood out,
Right.
and then leaving in a Christ-like pose. He's in a Christ-like pose,
Right.
crucified as
He
gets
was.
dragged
Yep.
into the water.
That's absolutely true.
Awesome, man.
It's one of the most affecting deaths. It still affects me every time I watch that movie. Every single
That's
time.
awesome.
So, I think this final sequence, we're now at the final sequence.
Yes.
Is that I think this sequence, more than any that I can think of, maybe the destruction of the Death Star would be the other one, of that movies have been imitating ever since. Of we are going to bring everything to a head for a spectacular finale. Because there aren't spectacular finales in action films in this way before this. And this is literally the boat is going down. He's going to end up at the very end of the mast,
Right.
at the last possible second, with the last possible shot before he dies. I mean, this is as big and dramatic as you can get. And so Scheider somehow gets that tank into his body, into the
into his mouth,
tank into his mouth. And
you see
Well,
pieces
because the
of-
shark comes into the cabin,
Right.
so
Comes into
he's
the
like,
cabin.
but he's doing everything he can to bash it, loses the grip on it. Really, I mean, it's
Yeah.
kind of a happy accident to go back to happy accidents, you know.
And he's got his rifle, and he's out at the crow's nest, essentially, as the ship is going down, and in comes the shark. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about music, and then I'm going to shut up about music.
No, why
Never.
should you shut up? It's John Williams.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. So I've introduced, learned all these themes. All these themes come to play in this sequence.
Yes.
When you are seeing that mask go down, you hear do 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 do.
Yeah.
When the shark is coming, you hear the shark theme and the hunting theme. When you cut to Scheider, you hear the battle theme.
Yes.
And each one of the cuts is telling you exactly what's happening within the story. And the tension is rising and rising in this way that only John Williams can do. And at the moment where the music must resolve,
Smile, you son of a...
the music cuts out. And we hear, smile, you son of a
you
bitch.
son of a bitch. Yeah.
And then we have the explosion. And this is one thing that's really important for filmmakers is you can't have multiple important things happening at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't have a loud explosion and a loud music cue.
That's right.
You can't have a line be really clear and a loud music cue. You can have one or the other. And so you have, in place of the loud music cue, the line and the explosion. Yeah. And after the explosion, we hear that sea theme that we heard earlier, the kind of harp, circular, infinite sounding thing, except now it's played in a major key instead of a minor key, and it feels resolution.
Yes.
Yeah. Finally, we feel yes.
But it also feels majestic.
Oh, yeah.
That this creature that was such an anomaly of nature is now dead. It's almost like a funeral. It's almost like a respectful funeral music cue for the shark.
Sure.
Like it's because the
all
of the way it descends in
dude,
it. It's not a kind of like like you were saying. There's no big music cue. It's a very like almost respectful,
really brilliant
kind of thing for this creature that existed. Yeah.
And
Respect for nature. Yeah.
And you get a noise, which is really a sound effect that's really important to Steven Spielberg, which is that there's a sound of the shark falling that's a loud groaning sound.
Yeah.
And that is the sound of the truck going off the cliff in Duel.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's sort
No
of a
kidding.
And that sound is used in Jurassic Park.
Really?
Yeah, he's used it multiple times.
What?
Yeah, it came from Duel.
That is
Son of a gun.
awesome. What an interesting tidbit, dude.
Yeah. Finally, at the end of this giant climax, as Brody's just alone laughing, who pops up but our good friend Matt Hooper?
Yes.
Who dies in the book.
Yes, he does die in the book.
Well, Hooper dies in the book. No kidding. That's
Yep.
that's what he gets
Really-
for cheating with Brody's
Exactly.
wife.
Yep.
Son of a bitch.
And that's his comeuppance. That's why he dies in the book. He has to die in the book.
Yeah. And I'm so happy he doesn't die.
Yes.
It's so nice. to
Yeah,
see them
because I
swim
mean
off
that
together.
final shot of the two of them swimming back together is so
Well, it's also
it's so fun.
Also, you get one last taste of their bond, right?
Yeah.
Because he comes up and he's like, "Quint,
No.
and it's just that moment.
Yeah.
Because he asked, hopefully.
Yeah.
And Scheider had to tell him,
Yep.
what had happened. And so then they start paddling. What day is it? It's just perfect. It's just perfect. Just keep paddling.
Just keep paddling.
Just keep kicking or something, whatever he says.
I'm tired. I feel like we've been through a lot here.
Has nothing to do with what time of the day that we recorded this.
Right.
No, or the whiskey,
Yeah.
which we've drunk a fair amount of this.
We did
bottle
all
of
right.
whiskey.
You guys
Yeah.
done a
Especially
great job.
for a house with no ice cubes.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So I know this has been a long podcast, but I got to talk about sharks just a little bit.
Sure.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite topics.
I know,
This is why
you-
this movie means so much to me.
Which
and
came first, your love of sharks or your love of this movie?
You know what? I actually think the love of sharks. I've never been afraid of sharks. Jaws didn't even make me afraid of sharks.
What?
I think I had a deep down respect, love, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
since I knew what the animal was. I actually went diving with sharks in Tahiti. I was the only person in our little like tourist crew that would do the dive with the sharks coming at you and around you. And like to me, it was just like I knew I wasn't going to get hurt. But it was so much fun. Like they're just awesome animals. They're they're badass too. You know
What kind of sharks were in Tahiti?
They might have been tigers.
Tigers?
Yeah,
Pretty big,
they
then.
might. Yeah, they were. That's why I don't think anybody else on the boat. Like when we went down and went diving, nobody else on the boat wanted anything to do with them. They hid behind like a little reef, including my wife. And I was like, bring it, let's do it. And they had like an Arrowhead water bottle that they put in a net and they squeezed it back and forth, and it made this like crinkle noise. Totally had the shark like right in front of us. Did the crinkle noise? The shark came right at it. They released it into a net above us. Shark went up for it. Like, so it's coming right at you, then goes up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now that's an adrenaline rush right there. But I was like, dude, let's, it's amazing, dude. And I want to do these great white. I know they do these great white shark dives. I want to do one of those one day.
You're so crazy.
No, they're not going to hurt me. They're not going to do anything.
So why do you think that's crazy?
I know. I've seen too many of those. I've just seen
too many movies
of the nature documentaries and seeing.
But who gets hurt?
No, but seeing it's true. But seeing the ferocity of that animal has always unsettled me.
Well, it's a huge.
It's like a lion. Lions. I have this thing about lions.
See,
and
I don't know if I'd go near a
silverback
lion.
gorillas.
No, you should much safer around a shark than a lion.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Much safer.
Yeah.
Silverback gorillas and lions and the sharks. I can't.
Well, they're hugely powerful animals.
Yes.
And the thing, before I say anything else, I should say that any large animal, particularly any large predator, is dangerous. And
okay.
but it's funny. I'll start here. Is that there was a shark scientist on the first documentary I worked on. His name was Mark Marks.
Okay.
And whenever you're working on a documentary, you want a guy who's going to say the great line.
Yeah.
You know, because you're editing a film and there are people that ramble on long time to say something very interesting and you can't cut to it.
Yeah.
And then there are people that with one sentence say something compelling and dramatic, and that's who you want on your documentary.
Sure.
And that guy was Mark Marks.
Right on.
He said a line that is the most dramatic line I've ever had to edit with in a film.
Yeah.
And I did not put it in the movie.
Okay.
And this is the line. He said, Steven Spielberg is to sharks as Hitler is to the Jews.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, that is a lot of a line.
It is a lot of lines.
Holy moly.
And the reason I didn't put it in the film is because it's what I would call a break. Is that line stops your mind.
Yeah.
And all you can think about now is that line.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to stop the audience's
Yeah.
mind. Also, it's unfair because
I agree.
Spielberg had no
That is
intention.
a crazy statement. Yeah.
Spielberg had no intention to do anything bad to sharks.
Exactly.
Spielberg's
Right.
trying to make a good movie.
Yeah.
But the reality is that movie and with surveys and if you talk to people and you too, John, has done so much to demonize this animal that really is essentially zero threat to humans.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically. And
That's fine.
So like for instance, there are somewhere between 12 and 20 people killed by sharks a year on the planet.
Right.
There are about 400 people killed by hippos a year.
Whoa.
Okay,
That's my next film.
yeah. Hippo. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into that stream.
To the pond and deep in Africa.
Hungry hippo.
Elephants kill about 800 people a year.
Hungry
there's so many animals that kill so many more people than sharks. Sharks are just statistically non-existent. It's zero. And in fact, anyone who swims in the ocean probably swam around some sharks. Because not necessarily great whites, but some sharks.
Yeah.
And those sharks do not go after people because we're not on the menu.
Yeah, that's right.
And the times that sharks have killed people or bitten people, almost never are the people consumed. In other words, what happened was
mistaken
a
identity.
mistake.
Yeah.
Is that a shark it's murky water, a shark swimming around, sees a surfer above him.
Yeah.
The surfer's got an oblong shape, two little legs
Right.
kicking. He goes, oh, maybe that's a seal. Comes up, hits it, goes, oh, not a seal, swims away.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, the problem is that when the shark hit the person, that's
Yeah.
a serious event.
Yeah,
But even this doesn't happen very often. It happens really, really rarely.
Yeah.
And there are just two things in the movie that I want to point out.
Okay.
One is the fantastic line, all he does is swim and eat and make little sharks.
Make little sharks. Yeah.
And that seems really scary. And this idea of an eating machine. What are most animals other than eating machines? What do cows do other than walk and eat and make little cows? You know,
point.
Right.
what do rats do other than walk and eat and make little
big
rats?
bunnies.
What do dolphins do other than swim and eat and make little dolphins?
It's just a great way to put it. Yeah.
It's
great
that's
line.
all that animals do. I mean, we do other stuff because we build buildings and have podcasts and things like that.
Yeah.
but animals just do what they do to survive. They eat and they reproduce. And yeah, that's what sharks do. And we have created a system where if you kill a dolphin, you're a horrible person.
Absolutely.
If you kill a killer whale, which is also a big, giant, powerful predator,
Right.
you're a horrible person. You kill a shark, good. There are 100 million sharks killed each year.
Oh, wow.
Most of them as either bycatch, which means they're fishing for something else.
million?
Yeah.
100 million. And the vast majority is for shark fin soup. So, and what they do is they bring up the shark, they cut the fin and the tails off, and then they dump them back in the water still alive. They don't
Brutal,
even use all
man.
the meat.
It's fucking brutal.
So that's and the reason that
brutal.
we can do that is because we have demonized sharks.
Right.
And so and one more thing that happens to talk about in the movie, this idea of territoriality and this idea of the shark is just eating and eating and eating and eating. So there's been studies done. They put a transmitter in the belly of a shark, great white shark. A shark went for 6 weeks without eating.
Wow.
Once a shark has a big meal, they hit an elephant seal or a sea lion or something, they don't need to eat for a long time.
Right.
The idea of a shark that is attacking and attacking and attacking, which is really created by this movie, that's not real.
Yeah.
And so I love this film. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. But it also is a movie that from Chrissy on scars you with this image of this animal, which is not true.
Yeah.
You know, and the last thing I want to point out is we have a very hard time balancing out risk and reward and balancing out the value of risk. So if we really cared, we would never think about sharks as something that's dangerous. It's so far down on the risk list. You know, it's like should be much more frightened of your bathtub than of a shark.
Okay.
Because that's going to kill you. Okay. Thousands of people every year killed in the bathtub. 40,000 people killed by guns a year, 40,000 people killed by cars, hundreds of thousands of people killed by hamburgers and cigarettes. Those are the actual scary things.
Yes.
Sharks, not on the list.
Okay.
All right.
If you say so.
Oh, I'm right.
I'm not demonizing.
Well,
First of all, I want to defend myself to a degree here. I'm not demonizing.
No, I didn't say you were.
Well, I mean, but this, okay,
it's been
go ahead.
demonized to you. You've accepted that image of them.
Yes, because just like I accepted when I
it's
see a
effective
lion
filmmaking.
do what it does, I see a silverback do what it does. It's doing what it does. I respect what it's doing and its creation, and I don't actively support people killing these animals. But they scare the living shit out of me, and I don't want to be anywhere
very
near them.
scary on
And
a
I don't want
primal
anywhere-
level.
Yeah. I don't run into the jungle by myself. I don't run into a habit by myself. I don't run into the water by myself. So, yeah.
Here's the thing that Hoover said, my partner on the shark films. He said, if you stepped into a pond and a bunch of little minnows start nibbling on your feet, you would say, isn't that cute?
Sure.
But if the minnow weighed 4,000 pounds, it's not so cute.
Yeah,
Not so cute at all.
The behavior's the same.
Right.
Yeah.
In one case, it tickles. In the other case, it's deadly.
Yes.
But they're doing the same thing, which is going, oh, what's that? Let me feel that.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Enough about sharks. Let's get back to Jaws.
Yes.
John, what are your final thoughts on Jaws?
Oh, my God. Listen, this is one of the greatest films that I've ever had the experience to see multiple times for so many different reasons. The score, which Steve highlighted so well throughout this entire podcast, the direction of Spielberg, the acting, which for me is the reason I keep coming back over and over again as an actor. Those are the things that bring me in. But also the overall story, these male archetypes that never go away, no matter what generation we're in, we can identify with them, we can understand them, and their relationships are so rich and resonant with such small amount of screen time. People have to understand there's like a very small amount of screen time that they have to like really develop this bond, but it's believable, it's real, and it's powerful. And the movie itself takes you on such an amazing journey, starting from this incredibly horrific beginning that scares the living hell out of you to this almost inspirational happy ending at the end of the movie, which is not at times where you think you're going to go because of the ferocity of this animal. And so to me, that's why this film works on so many levels, because it hits you in so many ways that you don't see coming, and it resonates with you and brings you back to watch it over and over and over again.
Absolutely. How about you, Eric?
I think it's just to go along with everything John said. What's incredible about this film and the stories of how it got made, it goes back to how you cannot plot, no matter how Hollywood tries, you cannot plot a success or a phenomenon like this. It happens just by pure chance, joy, luck, whatever you want to call it. And it's just an incredible testament to how you can capture lightning in a bottle. And I love how hard it was for them to make this movie. I love the final product. I love the fact, and you mentioned this many times, I love the fact that how difficult it was to make this film is why it's so great. Why it's one of the best movies ever made. And that's not an arguable, that you cannot debate that. It is one of the best films ever made. It is up there with whatever anybody's top 10 films are. This has to be there. It is, depending on the day of the week, my favorite movie ever.
Wow.
Between Citizen Kane, Pulp Fiction, Die Hard, and this. But I most likely will always land on this film because, to go back to what you were saying, John, and you as well, Steve, it's the full experience. It is the full experience. It's not just one genre. You're getting all the genres. And I would love, if there's anybody listening to your podcast who's never seen this film before, I would love to sit in a theater with them and watch it, because I'd want to watch them watching it.
Yeah.
Like that to me is like, that would be some next level shit.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, for me, it operates on so many levels. This is probably one of the number one films that we use in film school to talk about filmmaking.
Sure, yeah.
Because the craft is so good.
Yeah.
The camera work is so good. The music, obviously, I talked about a lot, is so good. The way scenes are constructed, the plants and payoffs are so good.
Yeah.
It's all beautifully, perfectly done.
Yeah.
And as we're talking about, I'm thinking, if that craftsmanship was all there was to it, we wouldn't be here having this conversation.
Right.
Because this movie goes beyond craft,
Yeah.
and it goes beyond genre. that's what's so interesting about it. At the core of it is this humanity, this recognizable, real humanity that doesn't exist in other films of this genre. And this is why when they go on to make sequels and, is that and all the imitations that happen after the film, this is the essential part they miss, which is that Brody and Quint and Hooper and all the supporting characters feel real. They feel like us. And so it's us on this journey.
That's right.
And so even though it's super dramatic and it's taking us into this hugely dramatic world. And maybe that's a hallmark of Steven Spielberg. Because if you look at E.T. and Close Encounters, that is very much it's about us. Yeah. It's about humans in extraordinary circumstances.
I think they did that well with Saving Private Ryan too.
Absolutely.
I think it's with Tom Hanks in that movie. It's like I felt like I was
You're one of those guys.
One of those soldiers. Well, especially with him too, being a teacher back in the but that's another podcast.
So that's what we think about Jaws, but we would love to hear what you think, and particularly if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, I'd be really curious because I've seen it so many times.
Right.
Be interesting to hear, how does it work on you? And if you want to reach us, you can reach us on our Facebook page. That's at the Cine-Files, CINE-FILES. Yeah. We'd love to hear what you think. We'd love to hear your suggestions of other films. If you want to reach me, you can reach me on Twitter at SR Morris. John, where can you reach me?
You guys can always reach me at The Rocha Says, ROCHA, on Twitter and on Instagram. I love to interact with you guys, so follow me. I'd like to comment with everybody who, as long as I can keep commenting, I like it.
You're a man with many a comment.
Yeah, at some points, the followers are going to get too big for me to comment with everybody. But I'm happy to comment for now. You know what I'm saying? So please do, and you'll see all the shows I host and co-host, and a lot of I'm pitching some more shows coming down the pike on different networks. So there will be more coming. So
is one of them going to be the Apprenticeship of Lenny Kravitz?
Yes,
or Muslim
hungry hippos.
Are you going to go my way and give me the job? Yeah, all right, go ahead. Yes.
Eric, if people want to reach you, how would they find you in the world of the interwebs?
I'm on Twitter at Eric Rogers LA. It's just ERICROGERS LA. I don't have as many followers as Rocha, so it's much easier for me to shout back at you guys, and I enjoy it though. Because, I got these shows that I'm in charge of and trying to make happen. So, trying to get more eyeballs in those things as well.
Well, and if you want to find out what this mystery show that's coming along, let's do
this. Let's say watch Skylanders Academy Season 2 on Netflix in October of 2017, which is a few months from now. Yeah. And the other show, I will tell you guys when the time is right.
Yeah. Well, we can't wait to hear that. And what we also can't wait for is all of the reviews we know you've been holding back. We know that you've been trying to compose the perfect Cine-Files review. You haven't come up with it yet, but I think you're really close. I actually think that one, you know what? Maybe in the shower tomorrow morning, you'll have the perfect idea. It's going to be 5 stars. Yeah. And you're going to rush out, dry off first because you don't want to hurt your computer, and write that 5-star review on iTunes because we really could use them. And I think we've made it to the end of an epic podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. This is good.
Eric, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been really great having you.
Thanks for having me.
And that's it for this week. We will see you next time on the Cine-Files.